The sun shone brightly on the New York Mets over the weekend, and today everybody got to enjoy the sunshine. After a day off yesterday, the Mets were able to enjoy one of the best days of the year in New York. Spectacular setting as the first-place Phillies come to town to open a series at Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. Mets baseball on SNY is presented by Delta. And tonight's game is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a three-game series against the two-time defending National League champion Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets come off two badly needed victories over the weekend against the Yankees, took 2 out of 3 in that series, spurred on by Jason Bay, who for the last 2 weeks has been hitting the ball hard, and all of a sudden Sunday night, he became the power hitter the Mets thought they were getting.
Well, he's got 7 hits in his last 7 at-bats. He had 2 home runs the other night. 14th time in his career he's done that. Since May 7th, he's been on a tear, hitting in 15 of 16. This is the one that I saw that I liked right there. That one put the exclamation point on his comeback that I feel he's out of the slump, ready to go into a tear. Driving that outside pitch, the opposite field. That's a long way out there, and that was way out. So that's always a great sign. I think he's ready to roll and start being productive.
And as Keith mentioned, 7 for his last 7, on base 9 straight times. And now the Mets tonight will face off against Jamie Moyer, and they'll have R.A. Dickey on the mound for his second start. And this is bizarre. Second straight start for the knuckleballer, in which he'll be the harder thrower of the 2 starting pitchers.
That's crazy, isn't it? But R.A. Dickey did a nice job against the Nationals in his last start, as he is filling in for Jonathan Neese until Jonathan comes back. They're hoping great things from him. Phillies just faced Tim Wakefield, a knuckleballer, on Sunday. 8 scoreless for Wakefield. And he's going up against Jamie Moore, of course. Old Mount Rushmore out there. 263 career wins. 5-3 on the season this year. 2 starts ago, he was the oldest pitcher ever to pitch a complete game shutout.
And was able to persevere in his first start against the Mets this season and hold on for an 11-5 win. It's the Mets and the Phillies for the first of 3 at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. by Volkswagen and by Delta, New York's most global airline, is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. Voting is open for the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. Help send your favorite Mets to this year's All-Star Game by voting up to 25 times at Mets.com. Vote early, vote often, and vote Mets. Vote today at Mets.com. Here's your Suzuki around the majors. A limited schedule last night, but Clay Buchholz gave the Red Sox 6 innings, struck out 8, and they beat Tampa Bay 6-1. Third straight win for the Red Sox. Brett Cecil, 7 1/3, just 2 hits in the Blue Jays 6-0 shutout of the Angels. Drew Stubbs homered. Aaron Harang had an RBI single in a 5-run fourth, and the Reds beat the Pirates 7-5.
Harang with the win and also scored from first base on a double by Orlando Cabrera, now known as the greatest 2 minutes in sports.
Didn't slide, right?
The Husky right-hander. Didn't slide. You can't slide when you have no speed.
Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. R.A. Dickey getting set for his second start as a New York Met. Crowd coming into Citi Field, getting ready for the Mets and Phils. First pitch coming up. Clubhouse, dugout, the Mets Hall of Fame and Museum, and more. Call 718-507-TIXX or log on to Mets.com to reserve your tour today. Here's the way the Phillies will line up tonight. Jimmy Rollins back on the disabled list with the same calf injury that felled him the first time, so that puts Shane Victorino back in the leadoff spot. Jason Worth may be the Phillies MVP so far this year. He's having a spectacular season in what will be his walk year. Raul Ibanez has struggled. Carlos Ruiz struggled recently after a big hot streak, but the Phillies still score runs in bunches, and tonight they'll face a knuckleballer for the second straight game.
35-year-old R.A. Dickey signed in January this season. He's had one shutout in the major leagues, University of Tennessee product, where he is 38-10. He went on the U.S. Olympic team in 1996 when they won the bronze medal in Atlanta.
And the Mets defense brought to you by Lexus. Well, they've been playing good defense. They've been playing a lot better ball, both defensively and offensively. See if it'll carry over.
Charlie Manuel's team has lost 4 of their last 6. They almost got no-hit by Daisuke Matsuzaka on Saturday night. Daisuke had a no-hitter until 2 out of the 8th. And then they got shut down by Tim Wakefield on Sunday. So it's the last thing in the world a hitter needs, Keith, after they faced a knuckleballer. To face another knuckleballer?
Well, either way, it doesn't matter. Knuckleballers are no fun for a hitter. They're not any fun. I don't care who they are, how weak the knuckleball is. It is a whole different program, Gary. I had to alter my stance. I had to stand more straight up against a knuckleballer, and it was uncomfortable. I had my ups and downs with it.
Shane Victorino, 3 for his last 23, hitting at .257, and the knuckleball misses for ball 1, and we're underway. Victorino has had an up and down season so far, right now in a down, but the Mets have certainly seen him in his high points. Had a great series against the Mets at Citizens Bank Park first time around. Placido Polanco on deck, and then Chase Utley. The Phillies 9 games over 500 at 26-17, up by 3.5 in the division.
We showed earlier that Victorino has 33 RBI. 27 of them have come from the leadoff spot. That leads Major League Baseball. Jeter's 25, Kelly Johnson with 23, and Ricky Weeks with 20.
And you know what that also is indicative of is how good a year Carlos Ruiz has had down near the bottom of the order. Ruiz's on base percentage is well over 400, unusual for a guy who hits 7th and 8th.
Well, the Phillies have been struggling offensively of late. The only guy that's really been consistent has been Worth and Utley.
Victorino pops one up. Babe coming over. Right near the line to make the grab for the first out of the night. So Victorino retired, 1 away. And now Placido Polanco, who is one of 3 Phillies in the lineup tonight who have faced R.A. Dickey before. Jason Worth and Raul Ibanez the other 2. And Polanco has by far the most success, having gone 4 for 11 against the knuckleballer. And that's not all that surprising that he would be the guy. Polanco, a contact hitter, tough to strike out. And he takes fastball for a strike.
Polanco, of course, Polanco on Sunday got the day off. Greg Dawes played third. His veteran players, Charlie Manuel, was trying to get them those 2 days when they have a day off.
Foul tip held. 0-2.
R.A. Dickey so far, Keith, been watching him. His ball tends to have some of the same action. Late break away from the right-handed hitter.
Almost like a slider. Grounded down to David Wright. And he throws out Polanco 2 away. And the other thing about that knuckleball, Ronnie, is he seems to be able to change speeds on it.
He does. He has one that if he takes a little off, it's easier for him to throw a strike. The one he throws really hard is what he wants to swing and miss. See the road record, nice for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a problem for the Mets so far in this early season.
And remember that when the Phillies accused the Colorado Rockies accused the Phillies of using binoculars in the bullpen at Coors Field, Charlie Manuel, in way of defense, cited the Mets' home record here at Citi Field versus their road record, and almost implied that the Mets were doing something nefarious in this ballpark.
I think Charlie quickly ducked out of that comment, and he tried to make light of it the next day. If you look at the defense against Chase Utley, and you see the shift on the infield, Utley, boy, I tell you what, it's tough to pitch him inside. He is so quick in. Remember when Utley came up, he went the other way, and you know, like most hitters, they learn to pull as they become more experienced. Now, you might want to wonder why the outfield's straight up and the infield in a Ted Williams shift. Well, obviously they have the charts, and they respect the fact that Utley can go in that gap out there in left center field. But he's a line drive hitter, and the balls on the ground or line drives, most of his hits are pulled. And he's slightly open in his stance and very, very short and quick inside.
You know, Keith, you explained why he's quick inside, but he's also led the National League in getting hit 25, 27, and 24 the last 3 seasons. So he's not afraid to get hit in there.
And that keeps him near the top of the league in on-base percentage with all the hits and walks to go with those hit batsmen, with Ryan Howard on deck. And that knuckleball in for a strike, and it's 2-2.
I tell you what, Dickey's throwing a nice little knuckleballs dropping. And you remember, he mentored with Charlie Huff. There's the directions of his outfield hits. So that's 10 in left field. They got to respect that. And he's right on top of the plate. Ronnie told you about how he's hit by pitches. That's because he's right on top of the plate and he dives.
2-2 from Dickey. Weak ground ball. Dickey will have to cover. Davis with the flip. Side retired. Good first inning for R.A. Dickey as he sets the Phillies down 1-2-3. The Mets come to bat with no score. For his last 7 on base, 9 straight plate appearances. We'll see whether he can continue that tonight. Jose Reyes coming off multi-hit games 3 of his last 4 and facing the ageless Jamie Moyer.
Well, nice numbers, Toyota numbers for Jamie Moyer. 263 wins lifetime, 7 organizations, and did most of his work with the Seattle Mariners, where he won 147 and 87, winning 20 games twice.
Starts the night with an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, about the same speed as R.A. Dickey's knuckleball. Reyes pulls one past Polanco, and he's got himself an opening hit. Well, the signs have been pointing up for Jose Reyes the last 3 or 4 days, and he gets this one started with a sharp single.
Well, they got to play him in at the corners, respect the bunt, and that gets him a base hit.
The most important thing, the ball on the ground. Line drives and ground balls for Jose.
We've been seeing so many pop-ups up until the last 3 or 4 days. Well, here's Luis Castillo, and it was very surprising to arrive at the ballpark and find him in the lineup tonight, because the last we heard Sunday night as the Mets were leaving after their series with the Yankees was that Castillo might have to go on the disabled list. But Luis saw a doctor yesterday who gave him a little different pad for his left shoe, and it's made that foot a little bit more comfortable, so he's back in the lineup tonight. Castillo has not started 3 of the last 4 games because of that foot. Reyes 9 steals in 10 tries, and Moyer pays a visit.
If Louis is going to bunt in this situation, which he does occasionally, you have to push the ball to Ryan Howard. Why? He has a little problem right now with throwing the baseball, and put some pressure on him, might get an errant throw.
He's always had a problem with accuracy on his throws. I think he's got a little bit of the yips.
Castillo less likely to bunt right-handed in these situations. And the other thing about it is, excuse me, Keith, is that Moyer has been very vulnerable early in games.
Yeah.
The Mets hit him for a 3-run homer by Wright in the first inning the first time they faced him.
All older pitchers have a hard time because they're just getting those
getting the engine running.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you have to think big inning. And Castillo takes the cutter on the inside corner, 1-1.
And the Coors Light Philadelphia defense, and they are just the opposite. That's too many errors in the last week of play. You know, getting back to the bunt with Castillo, Garrett, you see Howard's playing in a little bit because of the potential bunt. And he's got his legs parallel to the foul line, with the first base line, so he can break home. And what that does is helps you with the bunt, but it also takes away your ability to go out and cover the hole. You're more or less committed to home plate. I've never liked Louis bunting in this situation early. I'd rather hit and run.
And he drops down a bunt, trying for the hit. Polanco throws him out, so it has the effect of a sacrifice, and he'll get credit for one. But clearly Louis trying to bunt for a hit.
There was a day when that Bennett scored a hit, right, Gary?
Well, the scoring rules do say give the benefit of the doubt to the hitter, and most scorers now interpret that as giving him the benefit of the doubt every time.
What's up with that rule, by the way?
Benefit of the hitter.
Drop the mound, shrink the strike zone.
So you sound bitter.
Yeah, I'm a little bitter. I'm telling you.
Well, here is Jason Bay, who has just been crushing it. The last 3 weeks, he's been picking up multiple hit games just about every day, and now 7 for his last 7 and the 2 home runs on Sunday night. What can he do for an encore? His last time up on Sunday night, after he hit the 2nd home run, Sergio Mitre hit him in the back with a breaking ball, something that led to warnings to both sides, which I just thought was ridiculous.
I did think it was intentional, and there was a day when you just say, okay.
Reyes runs. Bay takes outside. Ruiz's throw. Not in time. Reyes has his 10th steal of the year.
Well, a good jump. Moyer's not real quick home, right, Ron?
Yeah, he takes his time. Especially after he's throwing a ball, he wants to throw a strike. Polanco there in time, puts that foot in front of the bag.
Clearly safe.
To me, Reyes looks like he's more comfortable stealing third right now than second base.
I think he's more comfortable in that leadoff spot.
Day swings and misses, and it's 1-2.
I think it's changed his whole approach. It's amazing how, Gary, if a hitter gets hot in a club that's been struggling for such a long time, how one hitter can ignite the whole team.
Mike Davis hitting cleanup on deck. Infield back. They're conceding a run on a ground ball. 2-2 to Bay. Days with 3 home runs, 19 runs batted in. David Wright, who has great career numbers against Moyer, including that home run in Philadelphia earlier this season, is waiting in the hole. 2-2.
This is a third base coach's way of building up equity with the fans that are going to hoot at him at some point during the season.
Well, that kid will love it.
Yeah, that's right.
For now, for forever.
Remember the day Chip Hale tossed me a ball?
Yeah, really. I'm going to say, who was he? Who was the third base coach for the Mets? In 2010. I was 8 years old.
He's gotten a runner in from third, less than 2 outs, 7 of 11 this year. That's a good number. And the changeup misses, 3-2.
He's going to pitch Jason very carefully. You notice he's counted him twice inside, 3 times inside this at bat.
Well, you got the left-hand hitter on deck. A left-hand hitter who's never seen Moyer before.
Going in.
Hit hard. Oh, nice play by Castro with the pickup. The run comes home. Bay finally makes it out, but even the out produces a run, and it was scorched. 1-0 New York. A Reyes run.
Well, Moyer is extremely lucky here that he wasn't rubbing up a new one. Nice play by Juan here. Beautiful. And you can see he knew it was hit hard. And watch him come up and look and see if he... Oh, he got a little snow cone. But he's got to play at home. Now, he probably knows in the back of his mind with Reyes, I don't. But you never know. Reyes could trip. Very nicely done. Nice play.
So a run is in, 2 out and nobody on. Now Mike Davis, who's gotten on base in 12 consecutive games. And he has torn up lefties in his brief career to the tune of a .440 batting average against left-handers. His first look at the 47-year-old Moyer.
Moyer got away with one there on Bay. Because that was his fastball meant to be in, Ronnie, and was right down Broadway.
Jason had gotten on base 9 straight times and had 7 straight hits before that out. That's a good sign. Of course, we've said that for years about the Mets' success rate when Reyes scores a run. 14-4 this year. 3-0 to Davis. And there's a strike. Moyer averages just 1.5 walks per 9 innings.
You're talking about Reyes. Over his career, when he starts and he leads off and he scores 2 runs, 1 in the bag already, and that's win 80% of the time.
Davis gets under one. And room for Victorino drifting over. And that retires the side. But Reyes singles, takes second on a sacrifice, steals a base, and scores the first run of the game. Ryan Howard leads off the second inning for the Phillies. Howard with 8 home runs this year, and the Phillies have won every game in which he has homered.
Well, I've always said that this Philly team, it's an advantage for the Mets when they play the Phillies here. Even though the Phillies pounded them last year and hit a lot of home runs in this ballpark. This is not.
Oh, Dickey got his glove on it and somehow deflected it.
I thought it hit his elbow, his shoulder, his forearm or his elbow as he threw his right arm up.
It's a base hit for Howard. Let's see.
Watch his right arm. I thought I got his fanny. Oh, left arm. Right. Sorry, left elbow.
Oh. He had no idea where the ball was. I thought he had gotten his glove behind his back, but no, it hit him on the arm.
On the back elbow, his glove hand. Tried to backhand it. He's tough as nails.
He's not coming out.
No way.
I guarantee you. Unless it's broken.
Unless it's broken. Yeah, he's just shaking it off right now, and it hurts. You don't want to let anyone know it hurts, but what can you do? Take a few tosses. Well, don't need to. It's a knuckleball. He doesn't have to get loose.
And it hit his non-pitching arm. The elbow, which has an ulnar collateral ligament in it.
That's quite a shot, though, from Ryan Howard. Watch his glove arm, watch his elbow. Coors Light freeze cam, Keith.
Oh, that is definitely on the. Lucky it wasn't the funny bone. That would have been murderous.
Nothing funny about that.
He's going to be okay.
Well, the last thing the Mets need is another injury to a starting pitcher. They've already got John Maine on the disabled list, now diagnosed with tendonitis in his shoulder. John Neese with a hamstring injury. Neese threw a bullpen session today, by the way, and is on his way back. And now Dickey, who is taking Neese's spot in the rotation. He's obviously in a good deal of discomfort. The question is, will it affect his pitching?
Well, right now, it's obvious that He's going to have to keep ice on it in between innings, but it's going to continue to swell as the evening progresses.
The Tennessee Volunteers, they don't come out of the game because of that, I'll tell you that.
Well, he said he's okay, and
I don't believe him.
The trainer, Ray Ramirez, Dan Worthen, Jerry Manuel, they all paused the beat before they left the field, but now they're finally convinced that he's at least good to try and finish the inning. See what happens after that. Tim McClellan, the home plate umpire. 35-year-old R.A. Dickey, who was a #1 draft pick by the Texas Rangers, a hard thrower when he first came out of the University of Tennessee, but along the way hurt his shoulder, had to develop a different routine, and took what had been a kind of a hybrid knuckleball, which he had thrown occasionally, and turned it into a full-fledged knuckleball. So here's Jason Worth, who's having himself a phenomenal start to the season, and he takes a strike.
You're right, Gary. He threw like kind of a forkball that kind of tumbled, and what he did with the forkball, I mean the knuckleball, took the tumble out of it.
And worked with many noted knuckleballers, which, you know, it's a very small fraternity, and those guys are happy to share with one another. The Necros and Charlie Huff and Tim Wakefield, they all talk to one another, and as Dickey says, they kind of have their own secret language. Worth hitting at .327, third in the National League, and takes a big hack at that knuckleball, 1-2.
Well, one thing, Dickey's more of the pattern of Phil Niekro, because Phil Niekro threw 2 speeds knuckleball. He threw the hard one, which Dickey does, and the off-speed one, which broke more, obviously.
This is Rod Barajas' first time catching Dickey in a game. Remember, Henry Blanco caught his first start down in Washington, and so Barajas has inherited the big butterfly mitt that Dickey carries around and brings with him from team to team.
We used to call it the pancake, right?
That's right.
2-2 to Worth. Check swing foul.
You know, that glove is more representative of the gloves the girls wear in college on fast pitch softball. It's in between. It's a hybrid between a catcher's glove and a first baseman's glove. And also, there's a kind of style to which you should try to catch a knuckleballer. Usually the catchers face about 45 degrees towards first base. Barajas, see how he's facing first base, kind of?
Poked into right field, and Worth has himself a base hit. Howard pulls in at second, and so the Phillies get the first 2 men on in the second inning.
Well, the key to hitting a knuckleball is what you do right here, and that is you wait to the last possible minute, even longer than a normal pitcher, because that ball breaks so late. That is just nice hitting, a pretty good knuckleball, and just got to tip your hat. Look at that pitch. Knee-high outside corner. That's, you know, he makes a living, too, that bat.
So the first 2 men on for the Phils, and now here's Raul Ibanez. Ibanez got off to an unbelievable start last year in his first year with the Phillies. Got hurt around mid-season and has had trouble coming back since. By the way, I want to clarify about Barajas. He has caught Dickey before, but he caught him with Texas before he threw the knuckleball.
Oh.
They were teammates there for a couple of years. To Ibanez.
You know, I was mentioning before that the way to catch a knuckleballer, they've really changed what catchers do. There's 2 things. One, they face kind of 45 degrees. Why? Because that way the glove, they can reach across their body more. And secondly, what they do is that instead of blocking the ball, you just try to pick the ball like you're a first baseman. It's all range of movement. If you sit up straight to the pitcher, then reaching across your body, you can maybe go a foot. If you turn 45 degrees, you can reach 3 feet. So that's why they do it, to have more range of motion. All right, I got the tickets. Okay, I got the Gatorade. Oh, orange paint in the wig. There we go.
Look, there's Mom.
1-2 to Ibanez. Ibanez in his first 62 games with the Phillies drove in 59 runs. In 114 games since, 54. And all dropped around that trip to the disabled list last year. He pulls this one foul. And when Ibanez was signed last year, in the first half of the season, he was the National League MVP. It looked like the greatest signing, but now Now that he's had trouble over the last almost calendar year, now you look at him and you say, well, he's 37 years old, and he's got 2.5 more years on his contract.
You think he would have a longer shelf life only because he didn't become a star until he was 30 years old. 2002 his first really full season for the Kansas City Royals.
1-2. And it's a little low. 0-2.
I think we've all, during that period of the mid 90s to 2005, where a lot of athletes were playing a little bit longer. I think those days are over. I think we're seeing more aging now. You're 37.
Line to left. Day has to play it on the hop. Howard will pull in at third. And the Phillies have 3 straight hits to start the second inning.
Pretty impressive at bat there, too. Both hits, one up the middle and 2 the opposite field here on the knuckleball.
See the grip as he lets it go. Doesn't really start to move too late. Nice job by Ibanez. Day was thinking about it, but I think he made the better choice. You know, what we haven't talked about is 2 days ago they faced Tim Wakefield. Maybe a little advantage for the Philadelphia Phillies 2 days in a row.
So now Carlos Ruiz, bases loaded, nobody out. Rojas drops one for the first time. And sure looked like a strike, but it's hard to tell with Tim McCollum. He waits so long to call strikes anyway. And I don't think he called that one. Ruiz 0 for his last 13 after a long hot streak. And he grounds one back to Dickey. Out at home. Out at first. 1, 2, 3 on the double play.
Boy, the one thing as a hitter you don't want to do, and that's, in this situation, ground back to the pitcher.
Hardest part about that play was R.A. Dickey deciding to throw a fastball instead of a knuckleball in there to Barajas. But he chose the straight one, a nice play.
So a huge double play. Now second and third and 2 out. And what do you do with Juan Castro? You've got the pitcher Moyer on deck. Castro back as the #1 shortstop. Jimmy Rollins went down. Castro took over. He got hurt. Wilson Valdez took over. Rollins got hurt again. Now Castro's healthy and again playing shortstop on an everyday basis. But he's 37, and the likelihood that Juan Castro is going to go through a healthy portion of the season as a #1 shortstop, I have to think the Phillies are looking elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Because, Keith, you've talked about it a lot. A calf injury like the one Rollins has gone down with twice, that's liable to linger all year.
I told people that I was around when Rollins came back, I said, okay, you're ready to play. Like Tom McKenna, the old trainer for the Mets, another week. It's a long season. They were in first place. There was no pressure to bring him back. I had that calf injury. Now I was a lot older when I had my calf injury in Cleveland. That never went away, Gary.
Of course, is Robin Roberts' jersey hanging in the Phillies dugout. Robin passed away last month at the age of 83. There's ball 4, and so I don't know, maybe that was a semi-intentional walk from Dickey to the #8 hitter.
You know, the 3-0 knuckleball, you knew it was semi-intentional.
So Moyer will bat with the bases full. Now, remember the last time we saw Moyer bat with the bases full in Philadelphia.
Santana had Moyer having that bat that Santana would like to forget.
So now with 3 aboard and 2 out, Dickey will try to avoid the same fate in which Santana walked Moyer to force it a run en route to Johan's worst outing of his life. He's rebounded pretty well since then, I'd have to say.
I think so.
There's a strike. Moyer has 2 hits this year, 1 RBI, lifetime 131 hitter.
And very shallow, particularly in center field and left. Look at all the outfielders are in tight.
You know what Ralph Kiner says about hitting a knuckleball pitcher? He said the best way to hit a knuckleball pitcher, put 9 pitchers in the lineup.
That's right. Milt Thompson has told his hitters, when it's high, let it fly. When it's low, let it go.
And he struck him out. R.A. Dickey takes a licking and gets himself out of trouble.
There you go.
Hey, Met fans, enjoy a Subway sandwich from one of the stands here at Citi Field or stop by a location near you. Subway, a proud sponsor of the New York Mets on SNY. Eat fresh. R.A. Dickey heading down to the clubhouse to get some ice on that left arm after taking a shot off the bat of Ryan Howard. David Wright leads off the second for New York and takes a curveball high from Jamie Moyer. David, 11 RBIs in his last 8 games. Now has 33 RBIs for the year, tied for 6th in the National League. That happened in a hurry. 2-0 to David, who has 4 career home runs against Moyer. Of course, he tears up lefties. There's never been any lull in that for David, even in his worst times. And he rips one down the left field line. David's hitting .433 against lefties this year. That's the highest batting average for any Met player against any pitcher in Mets history, for a player who has at least 50 at-bats against one pitcher. Little dribbler back to Moyer. And he throws that right one away. Your umpiring quartet for tonight, the veteran Tim McClellan has the ladies, the crew chief, Mike Everett, Andy Fletcher, and Adrian Johnson on this crew.
Adrian Johnson really for the last couple of seasons been a fill-in since his first real full year.
There's Adrian, manning third base tonight.
Tim McClellan behind the plate, probably most famously known for the umpire behind the plate in the George Brett Pine Tar game.
That's a long time ago.
Unbelievable, right?
I mean, that was 1983.
Yep.
Want to note Angel Pagan, who just keeps on whipping, hitting .285, .346 over the last 14 games.
I just remember him looking at the bat, inspecting the bat, walking towards the Kansas City Royals dugout in Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium, and raising that arm. You're out, and Brett coming out like the Tasmanian devil.
Little tapper, tough play from Polanco, has to barehand, safe. Angel Pagan with an infield hit.
I would have let that go. How about you, Keith?
Yes, I don't think it would have gone foul, but he had no chance to throw him out. Not the speedy Pagan. And I think the Mets there's a nice play right there. I love that angle. Nice fair hand. Pagan too much speed. Mets need to take advantage of Moyer's slow delivery home with their speed and steal bases with their speed because they put the pressure on the Phillies and Moyer.
And I talked about Ryan Howard's sloppy throwing. You go on first movement, you might get that base at second anyway.
Here's Barajas. Pagan with 5 steals on the year, has been caught twice. Barajas takes inside. Opposing base stealers are 4 for 5 with Moyer on the mound this year, including Reyes' a steal in the first inning. Barajas 10 home runs to lead the ball club, tied for 5th in the league. And Rod pulls one over the bag. That's a fair ball off the tarp. Pagan will go to third. Barajas is going to have to hold it first, as Ibanez was able to play that ball off the tarp. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Right over the bag. And that peculiar angle coming out here kicks the ball back out into play. A little late from Mr. Johnson now. Ooh, a little late. He knew he had it all the way.
I don't know if he would have made that play, but in the past, when they had Pedro Feliz at third base, he always played on the line for Jamie Moyer, and many of the Mets hits down the line were taken away.
It's an excellent point, and Feliz was just a shade below caliber third baseman as well. So a chance for Jeff Francoeur, who's in another cold streak. And he attacks the first pitch fastball and fouls him back. Jeff 0 for his last 12, and it's been a season of 0 for Jeff after a good first 2 weeks. Trying to pick up Pagan from third. With Barajas at first, the Mets already up 1-0. And Moyer ahead on Frank 4-0-2.
Jeff sporting his hockey playoff beard there, but you know hitters are very superstitious. If they're struggling, they'll do anything to change it up a little bit.
Yes, a big bad funk, yes.
Francour's done well getting a runner in from third. 7 for 11 this year, but now in an 0-2 hole.
With 81 mile an hour rush back.
Inside 2-2.
Well, he doubled up, Ronnie, and as a hitter, he's not going to do it 3 times in a row. And he can't anyway for that 81, 82 miles an hour. Those 2 pitches, you don't throw that hard. You've got to throw in there twice to set up your changeup away.
Going back in. Slider.
Popped up in foul ground. That should make it to the seats. And does to keep Francour alive.
Right here, it's going to be 93 degrees in the city tomorrow.
Yep. Hot day. Get ready for that unofficial start of summer this weekend, Memorial Day weekend.
What's that?
We'll be in San Diego on Memorial Day.
I'll have my first Memorial Day weekend off in a while.
Oh, you're not coming?
No, I'm not making the trip.
The big Milwaukee-San Diego tour?
What up with that trip, by the way?
Well, Milwaukee's actually beautiful this time of year, out by the lake. But it's not quite San Diego.
No, San Diego's sweet. Beautiful ballpark. How about the Pods?
You get great pitching every day.
They've got good young arms.
They're leading the league in stolen bases. They've got 52 stolen bags, and that's their second place behind them with 40.
Well, they have to play that way. They don't have a whole lot of pop out of the side of Adrian Gonzalez. Francour watches wide, and now it's 3-2.
So do you send Barajas? I don't know. Francour, I would not.
The only way you send him is if he knows to fall down if Francour strikes out, so Pregame can score. There's the 3-2, not going, and Francour pops one foul again.
We've got to pitch the hit there.
He's just been underneath everything of late, Jeff. This is a pitch to hit. There's another fastball meant to be in, and it's right down the pipe. You can't let a pitcher get away with that stuff. Right there, a mistake like that.
This will be Moyer's 8th pitch of the at-bat to Francour. And he hits it hard, base hit. That brings home Pregame, and it's 2-0 New York. Well, Francour worked his way back into the at-bat and picks up his 24th run batted into the season.
Well, Francour's a low ball hitter. And that's a changeup out of the strike zone, good sink. But he likes that ball out over the plate and down. Stay back, let go with one hand. Eye in the ball.
Well, that snaps an 0 for 12 for Francour. And now Dickey fouls off the bunt attempt. Dickey 0 for 2 thus far as Met. Only 2 for 7 in his major league career, spent almost entirely in the American League. So the Mets twice had a runner at third with less than 2 out, and each time they have brought him in. Ramirez talking to Jerry Manuel perhaps about Dickey's left arm, which is now explosive to the pitcher. Drops down a beauty, forcing Moyer to turn and fire to first just in time. Nicely done by Dickey for his first sacrifice to move 2 into scoring position.
Well, I think Jamie forgot about who the runner was on second base. It is a good bunt. Moyer fields the bunt. Nice angle by R.A. But if you watch here with Rod Barajas running, you still got time for a little pitch and catch over here at third base. Watch when he gets the ball. Just a little catch over here to third. That's an easy play.
And where's the catcher there being aggressive, saying 3-3-3-3-3? It should not be Moyer's decision.
So here's Reyes, who pulled a base hit past Polanco and into left field. Wound up stealing third and scoring the first run of the game. So Reyes trying to pick it up a little bit. That's 7 hits in his last 20 at-bats. And now with 2 in scoring position, trying to pick up a couple more for R.A. Dickey. continues to receive attention from Ray Ramirez after taking a shot off his non-pitching arm. Now it's 3-0 to Reyes with Castillo on deck.
And then they're keeping the pressure on Moyer, not letting him find his rhythm.
All of a sudden, the Mets are starting to come up with those big hits. They've been such a cause for concern earlier in the year. That's a strike, 3-1.
Jose's got to be careful here. There's 2 outs. Castillo's up next. You got to strike 3-0. He's not going to throw strike 3-1. Don't get yourself out. It's going to be a little changeup away or something to try to jam you off the plate. I doubt he throws him another strike.
And there's a strike. Nearly.
I was wrong.
Late call. Almost a strike anyway, but Tim Cohen said it was a strike. It's not a strike.
It's a strike.
Yeah.
Outside corner.
It just looks funny with the catcher catching across his body.
3-2. Hold down to third. Polanco playing the line this time, and he's there to throw out Reyes to end the inning. So Polanco positioned where he wasn't for the hit by Barajas. Mets tack on a run and lead 2-0.
A gluten-free concession stand. It's field level down the right field line for people like me who have celiac disease, which is essentially a food allergy, that have trouble eating certain things like bread, and you can eat safe and sound there. And it's sponsored by Cozy Shack. Bob Striano, the Cozy Shack president, is with me here. And the biggest thing is, why do this? Why the association with the gluten-free stand?
Well, you know, Kevin, we've been associated with the New York Mets since, I guess, 2008. And I think that stemmed from, you know, really the Mets franchise being on the cutting edge to look after their fan base. And, you know, they wanted to offer a choice of even bringing a family and offering things like all natural products. And so our complete line, of course, is all natural, and it's gluten-free, as you just discussed. And so they look after their fan base the way we look after our consumers and offer a choice. So nowadays you can come into a beautiful stadium and arena like we're in and be able to eat a natural product that's healthy and meet a consumer need. And we jumped all over that, and that's why we built the
concession stand
in the back.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about it is simple, just peace of mind. You know, you go in there, you can have the sausage and peppers, the Cozy Shack pudding, hot dog and a beer. I won't be having the beer portion with those guys, though. So let's go back to you.
Maybe post-game.
Ballparks have changed. I remember when San Francisco, when they opened up whatever they called it at the beginning, AT&T Park or something? Pac-12 Park. Yeah. That was the first time that they had water. They sold bottles of water, sushi, and of course your favorite, the garlic fry.
You can't go without the garlic fry.
I thought Anaheim had the first ones that had sushi.
3-2 to Victorino, and he missed it, or did he tip it?
Foul tip.
McClellan said foul tip. Dickey says he thinks he missed it. Barras thought he missed it. But McClellan immediately put his arms up, although it certainly appeared as though Victorino did not get a piece of the ball. McClellan thought he did and did not ask for help.
Well, why was Victorino running towards first? He didn't touch the ball.
It's a foul tip. He makes a late call.
Missed it completely. And the reason he knew it was Victorino was trying to run to first base. He knew that he had missed the baseball. Ross went after him. Guess what? Jerry's asking to get some help, but
what's the three that he said? What was that?
I don't know.
Strike three.
Remember there was
got 3 more chances to come out here.
There was a controversy a couple of years ago during a postseason game with the difference between the call for foul tip and the call for the catcher didn't catch the ball. In other words, the difference between being a foul tip and it being an out is Victorino winds up drawing a walk.
Oh, that's a shame. He missed that play.
No, the only one that counts is McClellan's call.
You're right. Right underneath the baseball.
So it ends up being a leadoff walk to Victorino, and that's a huge difference. Instead of 1 out and nobody on, a runner aboard for Placido Polanco, who grounded out to third base his first time up.
Victorino, 8 stolen bases, only caught once.
What about stealing against a knuckleballer? Those guys have to try awfully hard, don't they, to hold runners on?
Most knuckleballers have good moves to first. They're very athletic, and they have a slide step because they don't have to take that big kick. So sometimes, even though they throw so slow, they're so quick to the plate, the runner's not confident on getting a jump.
Fastball to Polanco in for a strike, 1-1.
Lou Brock used to go crazy when Phil Niekro would pitch, because Phil Niekro, they let him get away without pausing at the belt when he stretched. Phil would not stop.
He also had the bomb move to first, where he'd bend his front knee and then go to first base.
Of course, in Dickey's case, he's had to relearn all these things. He was a conventional pitcher and a hard thrower when he first came out of college. He was joking the other day saying, he's still relatively new to this. He's 35 years old. He says, I'm 26 in knuckleball years.
There you go.
And it's hit to second. Might be a double play. Castillo to Reyes. The jumping toss. Not in time to get Polanco. Ball just not quite hit hard enough. Get the lead runner.
Good hard slide here, too. Reyes getting out of the way and had nothing on the throw because of the slide.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Chase Utley will roll one slowly down to Ike Davis's first time up. Ike's already warming up his arm at first base, getting ready for a throw to second. Utley picked up his 1,000th hit late in April. Tonight, Jose Reyes has picked up his 1,000th hit. Earlier this year, David Wright picked up his 1,000th hit. All guys are pretty much the same stage of their career.
Utley, very patient hitter, very good eye at the plate. One of the best hitters in the game.
Foul tipped and held by Barajas. Now that was a foul tip.
Well, what's interesting about Utley, as you can see, those 4 straight 100 RBI seasons, Jeff Kent and Charlie Gehringer.
The mechanical man.
There you go. Is that Utley seems like he's almost waiting too long.
Yep.
He's just trying to wait as long as he can, and sometimes that ball's just getting by him.
This is my dad's favorite player, was Charlie Gehringer.
Wow.
Detroit Tigers. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. R.A. Dickey with his second strikeout gets Utley 2 away. Well, you talk about Utley being a little late on the knuckleball. Keep in mind that while Dickey and Wakefield are both knuckleball pitchers, Dickey throws about 10 miles an hour faster with his knuckleball on average than Wakefield does.
Yeah, Wakefield will throw 60, 61 miles an hour with his knuckleball, and of course, R.A. Dickey can get it between 73 and 75 miles per hour.
So now Ryan Howard who hit the shot off Dickey's left arm that deflected toward third and went for an infield hit. Phillies loaded the bases with nobody out in the second, but did not score. And Howard pulls one foul.
Boy, you've heard nothing about his big contract he signed too. Boy, astronomical dollars.
5 years, $125 million.
Made Mr. Pujols in St. Louis extremely happy. What are you going to pay me, guys?
They had a party. Well, his agent did anyway.
Well, Ryan Howard predominantly gets paid for hitting home runs. The last 4 years, 58, 47, 48, and 45. But this year, through more than a quarter of a season, only 8. And you wonder whether the pressure of that big deal is coming into play. And lines one over Reyes and into center field for a hit. Polanco pulls in at second. And so Howard is 2 for 2.
Well, Howard seems to have it figured out.
We talked about Howard's contract. The Phillies have kind of figured it out over there in Philadelphia. 58 straight sellouts at their ballpark, and they've got a few guys under contract. Halliday's 3 years, $60 million. Utley's 7 years, $85 million. Rollins 5 years, $40 million. Wiggs $37.5 million. Victorino $22 million.
So the next question is, will they be able to sign this guy? Jason Worth is a free agent after this season, and has gone from being a complimentary player to be an absolute must for this team.
Yes, that's one of the reasons that they traded towards Lee away, because they're going to try to attempt to sign Mr. Worth.
A great shot in the city.
Worth poked one of those knuckleballs into right field his first time up. That's his average after his second inning single. He's second in the league in slugging percentage coming into the night. 22 doubles already this year. 22.
It's crazy.
I mean, the major league record for doubles in a season is 67, and he's ahead of that pace.
And Joe Medwick holds the National League at 64.
Earl Webb, 67, 31 Red Sox.
All-time, Tris Speaker. Do you have the most doubles all-time career?
I think you're right.
700 something, right?
So Worth walks on 4 pitches. Third walk given up by Dickey. The Phillies load the bases for the second straight inning. And now Dickey will square off against Raul Ibanez, who took a knuckleball in the left field for a hit his first time up. That's with a 2-0 lead in the third. Inside, ball 1. Polanco is at third, Howard at second, and Worth at first. And there's a strike. Fastball from Dickey, 1-1. Carlos Ruiz on deck. Foul, backing out of play. A lot of pitches early in this game for R.A. Dickey. That's 60 of them, but how many is too many for a knuckleball pitcher?
I think in his last start in 8 innings in Buffalo, he threw 121 pitches. So maybe inconsequential how many he throws, but still, like to have some easier innings.
His first start with the Mets in Washington, he threw 97 pitches in 6 innings. Waiting while something was removed from the field in left field.
They're getting us ready for San Diego, Gary.
Beach ball?
Yes.
That is a beach ball. The fleet. One-two to Ibanez, and he flares one toward short. Reyes is there to pick it off and end the inning. So for the second straight inning, the Phillies load the bases and come up empty. 2-0 Mets. night at 7:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Well, I've never heard of this before, but apparently R.A. Dickey had an X-ray done of his left elbow in between innings after he got hit by the Ryan Howard line drive. The X-ray was negative, but they said they're going to monitor him for pain and swelling as the evening goes along.
See, what's happening now is they're putting a cold pack on it, and he's getting a lot of swelling, and the problem is he's going to have a hard time bending it as he goes along in the game. Here's the play.
His non-pitching elbow. What is it about the non-pitching elbow this year?
That's right.
Luis Castillo leading off the home third against Jamie Moyer, and it's 2-0.
You're going to have to drag him out of the game. This is his shot, to impress.
But have you ever heard of that before? A guy getting an X-ray during a game that's still in?
Yes, you have.
Yes. When the old multi-purpose fields in St. Louis Cardinals, when St. Louis Cardinals were there back in the 70s, they had an X-ray machine there, and if you got hurt, you can go get an X-ray real quick.
Between innings while you're still in the game.
Yes, you could, but it would take a little longer to get the pitchers back then. I'm sure there's a much faster way today.
Sure. Computer images.
But every football stadium that has football, they have the X-ray facilities, and Goldberg Stadium had them. Wow.
I know when I broke my thumb in '87 in September at the end of the year there against the Cardinals. We won't talk about the game. I went in the clubhouse after I pitched another inning or so, and they bent my thumb. It could go all the way back, so obviously it was broken. And they didn't have an X-ray machine, so you need to go get an X-ray. I said, well, where's the room? I said, there's no room. You got to go to the hospital. I said, am I driving myself? They said, yeah. So I showered and drove myself to the hospital.
Days have changed. Polanco gets Castillo by half a stride for the first out.
Nice hustle down the line by Louis.
Looks like he's running a little better tonight. More important, it looks like he's walking a little better on that sore left foot. Got a little different pad in that shoe after seeing the doctor yesterday.
Do you ever have a pad in your shoe like that? They take that kind of felt and they cut a hole in the middle, takes some pressure off your foot.
I had on the ball of my foot, one spring training, I had bruised it, and it hurt. And Tom McKenna, the old trainer, put a brown pad just on the foot side of the toe, the ball of the foot. Not on the ball, just slightly off, and it elevates it up so it never hit the ground.
I healed.
Within 3 days, I was healed.
Tom McKenna, 50-50. Doesn't help you, doesn't hurt you.
0-2 to Jason Bay, and he takes on Bay's streak of reaching base 9 straight times and 7 hits and 7 official at-bats came to an end of the first inning, but he drove in a run with a hard ground ball. Davis on deck. 20th RBI for Bay. And he taps this one foul.
And I say that with love. That's a nickname that Tom Seaver gave Tom McKenna. Everyone that was under his care just adored the man.
All you Met fans, 1973, when the Mets played the Oakland A's in the World Series, Tom was the trainer of that ball club, the old Irishman. He was a great guy, wasn't he? Yeah, loved him.
To the Bay. Ripped down the left field line. Foul. Well, Bay hit the ball very hard his first time up, and he smoked that one. Just barely missing an extra base hit. Lifts this one to right field, playable for Worth. 2 out. And Jamie Moyer's won 263 games in his career. 99 of those wins have come since reaching 40 years old. Only 2 pitchers in history have won more games since turning 40.
He was the oldest pitcher to win 20 games for the first time when he won in 2001 with the Mariners.
Isn't Phil Negro the leader there?
Negro won 121 after he turned 40, and Jack Quinn won 103. And Moyer's next with 99 and trying for number 100 tonight.
Jimmy's first full season of professional baseball was my first full season with the New York Mets. That's a long career.
And his first year in the majors was 1986. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know?
That's right. He got his first win against these Philadelphia Phillies. He was at the Chicago Cup, and he beat Steve Carlton that night.
1-1 to Ike Davis. Popped it up. And Ryan Howard into foul ground. Has plenty of room. And stays with it to make the grab. So Moyer has his first 1-2-3 inning. All clear on the Whitestone Bridge. We go to the fourth with the Mets up 2-zip. Carlos Ruiz takes a strike as we start the fourth inning. Ruiz, with the bases loaded and nobody out of the second, hit a comebacker into a 1-2-3 double play, the biggest at bat for R.A. Dickey tonight. Dickey continues to persevere despite taking that shot off his left arm that has begun to swell. But after pitching 6 good innings and getting some good defensive help in Washington in his first start, allowed just 2 runs and 5 hits. He's thrown 3 scoreless against the Phillies tonight. 2-2 now to Ruiz with Juan Castro and Jamie Moyer to follow. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Strikeout number 3 for R.A. Dickey. 1 down in the fourth. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, I talked to Phillies hitting coach Milt Thompson about was it an advantage or is it an advantage to face 2 knucklers in a row with Wakefield on Sunday, now R.A. Dickey today. He said, I'm not so sure. First of all, Ronnie, as you pointed out, they're different. Second of all, on Sunday, I got to tell you, I saw an awful lot of uppercuts. So that's something that's got to change tonight. It looks so inviting. When I hit knuckleballers, I hit against Cam Diotti and Huff and all those guys. I lengthened my stance and I didn't stride. And he said the reason was because I didn't want to get antsy. I just let my hands do all the work and kind of waited it. I found that helped me hit line drives. That's fine for a line drive hitter like Milt Thompson. For a power guy, though, a little different, right, Keith?
Yes, and you've got to shorten up. The ground ball to Jose, easy 6-3. Knuckleballer, you've just got to wait to the last possible minute, Kev, and you've really got to shorten up. And if you're a big, strong guy like Ryan Howard, he's 2 for 2 tonight, 2 singles. If he gets one out over the plate to his liking and he connects, he can still hit it out with a short stroke. But you got the big swing like Ruiz with the bases loaded in that 1-2-3 double play. You cannot take a big, long swing against a knuckleballer, particularly with a knuckleballer that's changing speeds, throws a hard one and then throws a slow one.
I asked Charlie Manuel, Kevin, about what his approach was, and Charlie was a big power hitter. He said the key, he would move up in the box, so it would not be able to break as much until it got to him.
David Wright over for a look, but it's beyond the low fence.
Which seems to make a lot of sense, right? It's not going to beat you with the speed, so move up and try to take one of those breaks out of it. Although that's not what players do today. They have kind of their stance and they stick with it.
Not a whole lot of adjustment.
Well, how about this, guys? I mean, facing two knuckleballers in a row, can it get you in a bad habit? I mean, if you do change all that up like you're talking about, I mean, I'd imagine it might be hard tomorrow, too.
I guess the question is two any worse than one? And will it benefit Isanori Takahashi tomorrow or Mike Pelfrey on Thursday?
I think it wouldn't benefit Takahashi because he's a controlled type of pitcher. But if Big Pelf was going tomorrow, that ball would look about 100 miles an hour for the first couple of innings.
In there for a call, strike three. Moyer down looking, and Dickey sets him down 1-2-3. That's 4 strikeouts for RA over the first 4 innings and a 2-0 Met lead. City Field tonight as the Mets look for their 3rd straight win against top flight competition. David Wright leads off in the home 4th inning. David hit a comebacker to Jamie Moyer his first time up. It'll be Wright, then Angel Pagan and Rod Barajas for the Mets in the 4th after Moyer settled in and got his first 1-2-3 inning in the 3rd. Remember the game that Moyer pitched against the Mets in Philadelphia. It looked in the first couple of innings as though there was no way he was going to survive 2 innings, much less 6. But he did. And the Phillies came back and won against Santana. Tends to struggle early in games, but once he gets settled, he's a different guy.
Yeah, he kind of bends but doesn't break kind of pitcher.
Got to give Wright a hit sign.
He's with the right team. Good defensive team. They score a lot of runs. The alarming stat for Jamie is that even though in the ballpark he pitches in 10 home runs so far this season.
Wright loops one. Howard will let it fall. Not a whole lot of effort. That was interesting.
And Jamie Moyer looking at him too.
I mean, he could have sprinted and made a slide and at least come close to that ball, but he never tried.
I think what happened is that when it went up, he assumed he wasn't going to get it, and by the time he decided that he was going to hustle for it, it's too late. That's a shame there.
Never assume.
So Wright gets another chance, and he gets under one. Shallow center. And Victorino didn't see it, so Utley has to go out, and he can't get it. Now the throw to second base, and Wright slides in safely. Well, Victorino never saw it. Wright fortunate to get to second because he was merely jogging. So everybody had a problem.
You know, the best player that made the play here is Utley, though. He's the only player that really stayed with it. Victorino, we've seen already in the Pregame here, outfielders have a hard time. Utley tried his best. Boy, he's almost in center field himself.
Ibanez was nowhere close.
Was really on the shortstop side of the outfield, too.
So it's a pop fly double for David Wright. And the Mets have a runner at second with nobody out. And Angel Pagan takes inside for ball one. Pagan had an infield hit his first time up, a little roller that hugged the third baseline. Alonso tried to barehand it, but couldn't throw Pagan out. He's coming inside against those right-hand batters.
He has to. And he knows he can't make a mistake. I mean, to me, watching Moyer pitch, and I'm sure he's very professional about it, I'd be out there on pins and needles every pitch I throw up there. He has to be precise.
Well, I think he pitches into right-handers, Keith, because it allows him, if he does make a mistake away, he might get the hitter out front.
And now it's 3-0 to Pagan with Barajas on deck. 5 of the 15 first pitch strikes, but part of that's part of the game plan for Moyer.
We saw the same thing with Tommy Glavine sometimes when he pitched here for the Mets.
Right. Get the hitters over anxious.
3-1 to Pagan. Well, Jamie Moyer is a guy whose career could have well been over after he flamed out with the Cubs, and now 20 years later, still going strong. I mean, think about that as he walks Pagan. I mean, he was a so-so pitcher at best when he was with Chicago, and they basically let him go for nothing. And he bounced around for a few years, Texas, St. Louis, Baltimore, Boston, but never found himself until he went to Seattle. And all of a sudden went from being a journeyman pitcher to being a star.
I would like to know who that pitching coach was.
Well, he gives a lot of credit to his father-in-law, Digger Phelps, just in terms of attitude adjustment.
Motivational.
But also, you know, Jamie and his wife, they've got 8 kids. That's motivation.
It really is.
So now 2 aboard for Barajas, who hit one over the third base bag for a base hit his first time up. I mean, here's how long Moyer's been around. He's got an 18-year-old son. How many big league players have 18-year-old sons? Ripped foul, and it's 1-1 to Barajas. There are the names of Jamie's children. He and his wife Karen.
Jeez, very Irish. I feel like the character in Good Will Hunting, right? Matt Damon's character. Timmy Peter probably could go through all 13 brothers.
I wonder if he named that one child McCabe after McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
There you go.
He's old enough to do that.
McCabe and Mrs. Moyer. Jeff Francoeur on deck. He had a base hit to drive and a run his first time up. Barajas with his second inning single, now 5 for 11 with 2 homers against Moyer. Popped up along the line, long run back for Howard, and again it's untouched. He gave it a much better effort this time, but unable to get to it. Probably inspired by that glare Moyer gave him the last time.
Nice. Only way you can do it here at Citi Field is you have to go into a slide there. Very dangerous with that low railing. Go right over it. Giving Moyer a little time out there. Moyer sprinted where he's supposed to go, backing up the third baseman Polanco just in case there was a play at third base. He does all the correct things, it's just at this age, needs a couple more seconds to get ready again.
May the 7th became the oldest pitcher ever to throw a complete game shutout when he threw a 2-hitter against the Atlanta Braves. He's got a lot of those oldest lines in the book. 1-2 to Barajas, and a high fly ball well hit to center, but playable for Victorino. Right tagging at second, and he'll advance. Pregame bluffs but stays at first base, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out. There are the numbers for the various teams. We mentioned Cubs, Rangers, Cardinals, Orioles, Red Sox. But it really wasn't until he arrived in Seattle that his career kicked into gear.
Look at that, 59 wins before he got to the Mariners.
In 10 years.
Yes.
And then 145 wins in 11 years. And he's kept it going with the Phillies. He's been, as you say, he's been in the right spot these last few years as the Phillies have really gotten good. So now Frank Core will work the long at bat against Moyer first time up and drilled a base into the left field. Snapped an 0 for 12 for Jeff. Third time in the game the Mets have had a runner at third with less than 2 out. They got the run home with a ground out in the first. Frank Core did the same with a base hit in the second.
Well, they're playing Frank Core pretty straight up, a little bit to pull on the left side of the infield, not ever so slightly.
Open in. Nobody has come out on deck as of yet for the Mets. And now Dickey does. He'll get his 5 in no matter what, no matter how much that left arm is aching. Up and found ground, but not much room back there for Ruiz, and it sails out of play. 1-2.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Chevy. Find your New York's dealer on ChevyOffers.com or call 877-64-CHEVY.
Big hole between first and second. If he pitches them away, drive it that way.
1-2. And a high fly ball to left center field. Going back, Victorino has room in front of the warning track. Puts it away as Wright trots in to score. So 3 times tonight the Mets have gotten a runner to third with less than 2 out. All 3 times they've delivered. Twice it's been Frank Core, and it's 3-0 New York. 25 RBIs for Frank Core, 2 tonight with the sacrifice fly.
Mets starting to do things right. It's amazing. It's amazing how it's such a long season and how it can turn around.
Just execution. Barajas with the wherewithal to hit that fly ball to move right over and get him in with the sacrifice fly by Frank Core. Nice baseball.
Meanwhile, an interesting story developing with the Mets having had to replace 60% of their rotation. They've had Dickey step in and making his second straight good start for them. Takahashi gave them 6 scoreless in his first start. Dickey hits a little pop fly. On comes Worth, and he slides to make the catch. Worth playing shallow still. Had to come very far in to go into that slide and take a base hit away from Dickey. 3-0 New York. Beautiful night for flying.
Beautiful night for baseball.
Yeah, we were talking about R.A. Dickey and Isunori Takahashi. So far, those guys have done a great job filling in the Mets rotation. As you look at the Delta fifth inning recap, 4 scoreless for Dickey tonight after 6 good innings in Washington his first time out. There, Frank Coors contributed a couple of RBIs. The Mets are going to have to find one more starter to fill a hole on Saturday before John Neese is able to come off the disabled list. Might well be Raul Valdez, might be somebody from the minors, could be Elmer DeSenz. Who knows? Could be Oliver Perez.
Why can't Dickey go on short rest?
Maybe it could be Dickey.
Knuckleballer.
Might be able to pitch tomorrow.
Exactly.
Except
he's hot. Send him out there.
Well, the funny thing about it is, though, you know that left arm is going to swell up, and you wonder whether that might be the impediment to him going on short rest. Shane Victorino slices one foul, and it's 0-2. Let's check in with Kevin.
You mentioned Jonathan Neese, Gary. The good news is Neese to his first bullpen today. So he's going on the disabled list. No problems. In fact, Jerry Manuel saw the end of it, told me he thought he looked really, really good, and said after this one turn, he doesn't think he'll miss any more time. So it'll only be that one turn, and Neese should be back, barring any more setbacks. So that is some very good news.
So, with Neese coming back, with Pelfrey and Santana pitching brilliantly, with Takahashi and Dickey with very, obviously, small samples having worked a lot better, who knows? Victorino certainly missed this one. This time the Mets get the call, and Barajas throws him out. Victorino, who looked like he struck out his last time up, but got a pass, gets none from Tim McClellan this time.
Well, this is the best knuckleball he threw all night. Look at that. Maybe 1.5 turns. Just got a little bit of leather on it. The rod found it quickly. With a little help from Tim McClellan's shin pad. Victorino down.
It's 5 strikeouts for R.A. Dickey. He had just 2 in 6 innings in his first start in Washington. Now Polanco's grounded out twice. And he lines one past Dickey and into center field. I think that's the 3rd straight time that Dickey started Polanco with a fastball, and this time he didn't get away with it.
Well, I think what's happening is now that Dickey's first time through the league, he's not afraid to throw his fastball sometimes, and you can go up there first pitch strike, look for a fastball, or as with Phil Niekro, Garrett, when he fell behind, he'd run a little sinker up there. He wasn't afraid to throw your sinker 2-0, 3-1.
I think the thing that R.A. Dickey has showed me, I don't know if you guys agree, only in a small kind of sample, is that with the removal of Takahashi from the bullpen and into the starting rotation, you need somebody to eat up those innings that he was doing before.
Utley double play ball to Castillo. Reyes with a turn, high throw, and it goes off the fence in front of the dugout, and Utley will stay at first. Dickey will go down and slap a tag on him just to be sure. Or actually decides not to.
Well, when you're playing the pull, you pull the ball too much on the ground, you kind of take that hole away. That's 9 times out of 10, that's a base hit, first and third right there. But they're playing the pull, even on a double play situation. You think that maybe Castillo would be more up the middle, a double play depth on Utley. That just goes to show how much they think Utley's become a pull hitter on the ground.
Just to finish my thought, from this small sample of R.A. Dickey, Takahashi's in the rotation. He did such a fine job, long man out of that bullpen. You got to have someone to replace him. If you bring Jonathan Neese back in the rotation, R.A. Dickey could be the man. Rubber arm, can pitch very often, and give you length.
There's Ryan Howard, who's 2 for 2, including the one he banked off Dickey's left arm back in the second inning. Home Depot doing more on defense. Let's have the triangle defense on the right side against Howard.
One thing you have to be cognizant of if you're a pitcher with this defense is if he gets a little pop-up at the third baseline, you might have to go there and get it with David all the way up the middle.
We've seen that with David this year on a shift like this, having to sprint into foul territory. That's a long way. High fly ball, center field, and Pagan is there. They'll put it away and end the inning. 5 scoreless for R.A. Dickey. Halfway through, 3-0 Mets. Third time around the batting order for the Mets against Jamie Moyer as Jose Reyes leads off the home fifth and takes a strike. Reyes picked up his 1,000th career hit in the first inning, a single to left. Stole the base, scored a run. It's a 14-4 this year, and Reyes scores a run, and they lead 3-0 tonight. It'll be Reyes, then Luis Castillo and Jason Bay in the home fifth. Mets have 5 hits, Phillies have 5 hits. And Reyes drops down a beauty of a bunt. Polanco, no chance. Can't roll it out there much better.
Well, they've been working with Chip Hale, Jose, on his drag bunting, and he puts it down like that. They're hard pressed to make a play on him.
Fourth time in the last 5 games that Reyes has had 2 hits.
And just the difference a year makes. Feliz used to play in on the grass to take the bunt away. Polanco was just a little deeper behind the bat on that 1-1 count to Reyes.
So now Castillo, who had a sacrifice back in the first inning, up there ready to swing, and he takes ball 1. Castillo hitless in his last 8 official at-bats. Reyes has a steal of third tonight, his 10th stolen base of the year. See whether he can get a read on Moyer to try and steal second here. Look where Howard's playing, how far in front of the bag. How could you ever catch a pickoff throw there and make a tag?
Well, you don't, does.
I mean, he's a good, 3-4 feet in front of the bag?
Yeah, when he comes over, you know he's coming over, you can step back. You can always step back, Gary.
Is that an easy thing to do for a big guy like that?
Well, I can only speak for myself. It would be fairly easy.
Well, you weren't as big as Ryan Howard.
I just don't like the bunt. I do not like it.
Well, Castillo, as he was in the first inning, looked there as though he was trying to drop down a bunt for a hit. Now he's at a 1-2 hole.
Now Howard will be playing his normal depth with 2 strikes. He's still a little bit in front of the bag for what reason I have no clue.
If I was Reyes, I'd go in first move for Moyer, and I bet you he beats the ball to second.
Does Howard know there's 2 strikes?
He shuffles back, but that doesn't help because it's too hard to shuffle, catch, and apply the tag. It's too many things.
A lot of footwork for a guy who's not a graceful first baseman.
I should say, though, he's much improved from 2 seasons ago.
But there's 2 strikes on the hitter here.
Mets had Bobby Valentine managing and John Olerud playing first base.
Yep.
He used to play wide of the bag and move back and forth.
And try to confuse the base runner.
Also stand right in front of the base runner so they cannot see.
Reyes runs. Castillo takes ball 2. And the throw skips by Castro. And Reyes has his second stolen base of the night.
Number 11. Oh, boy, that could have been strike 3. That's a case where the catcher comes up throwing and takes away that low strike. I don't think it was a great jump here. This Jose's getting that explosiveness back, getting his leg strength. That was not a good jump when he stole that base.
Reyes is so fast that he could make Moyer commit before he committed.
2-2 to Castillo. And he grounds one behind Reyes. That'll advance the runner. Castro throws him out, and that moves Reyes to third with 1 away. The Mets keep on executing, moving runners tonight. It's been the big part of their offense against Jamie Moyer.
And we'll see how Charlie Emanuel wants to play this, if he wants to bring his infield in.
Well, 3 times tonight, the Mets have gotten a runner to third with less than 2 out. They've gotten him home every time. Now with the Phillies down by 3, I think you have to bring the infield in.
I agree 100%. And very dangerous with Mr. Bay up. I got to believe that Moyer is going. No, they're playing back.
So they'll concede a 4th run. Boy, it's a lot of confidence in your offense.
I think they're going to pitch around. Oh, a little curve.
They tonight grounded out to drive in a run, and after hitting a searing drive just foul, flied out to right in the 3rd. Mike Davis on deck. 90th pitch tonight for Moyer. And a It's 1-1. And that cutter misses inside. It's 2-1.
It's amazing, Keith, when hitters are going good, they are just so patient, able to take pitches just off the plate.
Driven to left field, base hit. Reyes trots home for the second time tonight. Bay has his second run batted into the night, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead. It's all clicking right now.
Well, another fastball, wanted to get it in. Look where he got it. Right down the pipe. Hands back. Look at the hands back. Beautiful balance. And he's starting to get the ball now on the barrel of the bat. Before, remember, all year he was out in front towards the end. Now he's waiting that extra split second of coming with his rhythm. Results.
And Bay takes off. Davis takes high. Ruiz's throw not nearly in time, and it goes into center field, but Utley backed it up. And Bay got an enormous jump against Moyer for his 7th stolen base.
Well, that's a smart steal right there. Put the pressure on. He left right at the belt, just took a chance he wasn't going to come over. You can sneak 15 stolen bases in the big leagues. He just took a chance. He's a smart player.
Sorry, Mr. Castro, shortstop's got to make a little more athletic move to try to keep that ball in the infield. Luckily, Utley was backing up.
It's 2 in a row that skipped by him. 2-0 now to Davis, who's flied out to center and fouled out to first 0 for 2. Well, the Mets with 3 stolen bases tonight, 2 for Reyes and now 1 for Bay. First 2 have led to runs. And there's a strike, 2-1.
But when Hojo gets the DVD of this game, game number 46, he can say Mets versus Phillies, quotation marks, the clinic, because they are putting on a clinic tonight, executing.
David Herndon, first man up in the Phillies bullpen. And Moyer laboring a bit here in the 5th inning. David right on deck. That's now with 4 runs and 7 hits. They had 5 runs and 6 hits in 6 innings against Moyer first time around. 3-1. And Davis takes outside ball 4. And so he's aboard. It's 13 straight games that Davis has reached base. Second walk of the night for Moyer.
Well, we'll see the IOTV pitch differential, and you can see it. We told you right down the middle. Wanted it in. That's outer half. Too much play. Down, but too much play.
So now David Wright, who hit a fly ball to center field that Victorino lost in the lights or the twilight or something, that fell for a double his last time up, and David came around to score a run. He attacks the first and fouls it straight down. Day in second and Davis at first with 1 out. That's with a run in the first, a run in the second, a run in the 4th, and a run home here in the 5th. Well, R.A. Dickey has thrown 5 scoreless on the other side. Off the plate, 1-1. Moyer about to throw his 100th pitch of the night to a guy who has owned him over the years.
Well, this could be a break the game open type of hit.
David hit a 3-run homer against Moyer. First time he faced him this year. And Moyer getting a little perturbed.
The Mets have just put pressure on him, not allowed him to get into a flow.
On 2-1, Wright takes a big rip. 2-2.
R.A. Dickey looking for his first win since April of last year. And 4 runs to the good. David gets under 1 to left field. And Ibanez right there waiting for it. And there are 2 away. So 2 out and 2 on with Pagan coming up. Jonas Schwartz and Joe Meninga will have a preview of tomorrow's Mets-Phillies matchup as they go beyond the back pages to bring you the inside scoop on the latest in New York sports on the next Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5 on SNY. Angel Pagan's been aboard twice, an infield hit and a walk, and he scored a run. Angel just keeps on producing offensively and defensively. And noticeably absent are the mental mistakes that bogged down his season last year.
Well, he's playing with a little bit more, he's not speeding the game up. He's slowing it down. He's got a world of talent. I've always loved his hustle. Always loved his bat from both sides of the plate.
He hits one in the air well to center field. Victorino going back, has plenty of room. And that ends the inning. So Pagan flies out. Mets add a run on a Jason Bay RBI single. Through 5 at Citi Field. It's 4-0 New York. The Phillies 4-0 on the heels of their series victory over the Yankees over the weekend. Jason Worth leads off in the 6th inning and takes ball 1. Worth has singled and walked tonight. Oh, amidst the Mets series win over the Yankees came the minor dust-up regarding the clubhouse appearance of our friend Darryl Strawberry over the weekend. Darryl stopped in to talk to some of the Mets players to give them encouragement and advice, and it came to light later on that at least one, perhaps more, of those Mets players, unnamed, complained about Darryl's presence in the clubhouse and the message that he was bringing. And some of the players addressed it today. Jeff Francoeur, Alan Sikora, among others, said that they greatly respected Darryl and had no problem at all with his visit or his message. And I think it brings up an interesting question about the relationship of former players, marquee players, with the franchises for whom they played. Now, obviously, you guys and Darryl and Bobby Ojeda, you're all connected with the ball club as broadcasters, and Darryl has something of a ambassador's role for the club as well. But I guess the question is how present-day players view people who played for the same franchise long before they played, and what that relationship is, and what it should be, and what it shouldn't be.
Well, I think that players always
you know, they respect the players of the past. I don't know what Darryl's message was in there to upset them. It's difficult when you don't have a pulse for the team, when you come a couple times a month. And again, I don't know exactly what Darryl said that upset them. But there's no way you can have a feel what's going on in the clubhouse as Worth goes down swinging. And that's a 6th strikeout.
Just one shy of a career high for Dickey.
So my point being is, unless you're here every day, you don't know what's going on in that clubhouse. Now, we're here on a pretty much a daily basis, and we know that during this tough period, this club is hustled. And that's all you can ask from your team. So I don't know like I said, I don't know what Darryl said with the point of criticism. But if you're not around a ball club, it's kind of hard to go in there and tell a team you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and that I think would kind of get me a little ticked off. I've been on teams where players have gotten upset with a member of the media who only comes in on the weekends and then writes an editorial on Sunday, and the guys would say, well, he's never here. He's only here on Sundays. Or Saturday and Sunday game. What does he know about our clubhouse? He's never here. So that's my feeling. I know Darryl's intentions were good.
Well, I think that it's a real fine line. I think that I think you're right, Keith. I think Darryl wanted to deliver the message. I talked to some of the players that were involved, and I think that the problem is that I think they felt it more forceful than encouraging, and I think that is the difference. I think if you're going to go in there and you're going to try to talk to players, it should be so encouraging. Hey, as an older player that played in this organization, all we want is good things for you. And let's not forget, the most important ex-player that sees these guys every day is Howard Johnson. So let him do the talking, let him do the working with the players. And as older players who used to play and can't play anymore, words of encouragement are all that need to be.
Hummer descends up in the Mets bullpen. I thought the timing was interesting because Darryl's clubhouse visit came on the heels of the report of Andre Dawson and Tony Perez approaching Hanley Ramirez after Hanley's lackadaisical play and benching and the brouhaha that arose there as Ibanez strokes one into right center. Frank Coor gets over to cut it off and holds Ibanez to a single. So a one-out base hit for Ibanez, his second hit of the night. And I just thought it was interesting that it almost seemed as though, I don't know if the two things were related. The fact that Dawson and Perez got a lot of credit for straightening Hanley Ramirez out, and whether Darryl's visit was almost meant to be the same kind of encouragement / jolt that Dawson and Perez provided in Florida.
But this team has never, ever been accused of not hustling. That was Ramirez's problem, is that he was acting like a petulant child. Let's get this kid and get him to be an adult. This has never been the problem for this Mets team. They've played hard all season long. Encouragement is always good. I've had players
toward the hole. Reyes can't get to that one, and Ruiz has a base hit, so the Phillies have 2 men on.
I've had players come up to me in the course of the time that we've been here together and have asked me questions, and we've, after a game, had a beer together and talked about certain things that happened over a career. But if I ever were to offer advice, I would never do it unless I talked to Dan Morton about it and asked him, hey, Dan, would you mind if he wanted to talk to me about this, and I'll just kind of give my opinion. And if Dan said it was all right, I would do it. But certainly he would have to be the conduit for me to even think of doing those kind of things.
Good knuckleball by Dickey to get him ahead of Castro 0-1. Greg Dobbs on deck to pinch hit for Moyer as the Phillies try to get something going here in the 6th against Dickey, who's given up 7 hits, but is working with a 4-0 lead in the 6th. Castro has walked and grounded out tonight. He lines one, caught by Davis, throw to second, and Reyes wasn't at the bag.
He didn't have a chance to get to the bag. No. And he caught that right in the palm. Just a bullet from the ex-pitcher, Davis.
Should have hung on to that.
He should have hung on. He was back to the bag. No harm, no foul. Phillies just can't get a big hit.
It was fortunate that ball didn't hit Ibanez. And I don't know what direction it might have carried. So 2 out and 2 on. And now Greg Dobbs set to pinch hit. Jerry Manuel taking a couple of steps out of the dugout, pointing at Reyes just to make sure that he's okay.
You said that Davis was warming up his arm. Obviously, he did it very well.
He can throw hard. We know that. We've already learned that he threw a lot harder than his teammate Mike Leake, who, by the way, is working on a shutout tonight in Pittsburgh. His college teammate David Herndon up in the bullpen as Dobbs pinches for Moyer. So Moyer's done after 5 innings, having given up 4 runs and 7 hits.
It's been a tough road for Dobbs this year. He's been the #1 left-handed bat off the bench. Matt Stairs is gone. He's 1 for 17.
Well, he struggled last year as well. 2 years ago, he had a magnificent season for the Phillies.
22 hits as a pinch hitter.
1 for 17 as a pinch hitter this year.
They've been lucky that Ross Glow, Keith.
Yes.
Big fan of yours. He's been outstanding. A couple of home runs, 6 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
Playing the Matt Stairs role. 1-1 now to Dobbs. Dobbs got a start on Sunday for the Phillies, just trying to get him going. The problem is you give up so much defensively when you play Dobbs at third base. 154 overall. Dickey up over 100 pitches now. Fouled off the leg of Dobbs, and it's 1-2. R.A. threw 97 pitches and 6 innings in his first start in Washington. Threw as many as 121 in a start in Norfolk this year. At 103 right now.
Hamels and Blanton.
Those are the next 2 game starters for the Phillies. Blanton tomorrow night. Hamels on Thursday night against Takahashi and Pelford. 1-2.
He struck him out. 7 strikeouts for R.A. Dickey, matching his career high. Quite an effort by Dickey. 6 scoreless
and a 4-0 Met lead. And the very same Chris Carlin and Adam Shine will be debating the outcome of tonight's Mets-Phillies game, plus bring you a preview of tomorrow's matchup as they take on all the latest New York sports news on the next Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weekdays at 6 p.m. only on SNY. Chris, by the way, is everywhere. Here's your Time Warner Cable high-speed pitch, and as we predicted, the knuckleballer out velocitying his counterpart for the second straight start. That's got to be a major league record, right?
Well, we're going to take a little rise in the speed limit here with Mr. Herndon. Rule 5 draftee from the Los Angeles Angels. Power sinker at 92 to 95. A little slider. Appeared against the Mets on April 30th. Had his career high 2 innings of scoreless relief against the Mets that day at Citi Field. sorry, Citizens Bank Park.
Is that a fine?
No.
Rod Barajas leads off the home sixth and takes Lone away from ball one.
No, Your Honor.
I think that needs to be decided in the Kangaroo Court.
Okay.
I guess you could say Veterans Stadium. That would have been a fine.
Yeah, so yeah.
There you go. Barajas 1 for 2 tonight. And takes the fastball away. 2-0. Well, it looked when Dickey came out after the last half inning that he was getting the handshakes indicative of having been done for the night. Frank Core on deck, and then the pitcher spot due up for the Mets here in the bottom of the sixth. Barajas pops one up in foul ground. Polanco coming down. One away. But you'd have to say, over the first 3 starts by the fill-in guys in the Mets rotation, 2 for Dickey now and 1 for Takahashi, how could you be happier with what you've gotten so far?
It's a big shot in the arm, isn't it? And it's amazing how, when you think things are lost and desperate, the things that turn around a season, you've got to get that. That's why it takes 25 to win. You got to get it from those guys.
And really, it's more than 25. It's more like sometimes 45 or 50.
You're right.
Here's Frank Core, who has 2 RBIs tonight with a single and a sacrifice fly. I mean, you start the season with 5 starting pitchers. Most teams over the course of a year will use 9 or 10. Raul Valdez, who is a candidate to start Saturday in Milwaukee, is up now in the Mets bullpen. It's the last fill-in the Mets should need before John Neese is ready to re-enter the rotation. And Frank Core takes one the other way, and he's got himself another hit. It goes to the corner, and Frank Core will get 2. Well, Jeff Francoeur, who came into the night 0 for his last 12, now 2 for 2 with a single, a double, and a sac fly.
Well, Jeff, a nice slider right there. Jeff stands on top of the plate, and what his problem he gets into, I think he tries to cover too much plate. And he should just look area. Pick 1/2 of the plate or 1/3 of the plate, whether it's in to the outer quarter or outside corner to the inner quarter. It's not easy to discipline yourself to do that because Jeff's a pretty free swinger. But he stands so close to the plate. If he's looking away, he cannot cover the inside corner. So he's got to learn to take that pitch.
So now with Frank Core at second, Chris Carter comes up to pinch hit for R.A. Dickey, who is done after 6 scoreless innings. Looking for his first victory since April 10th of last year. Carter 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter. With Jose Reyes, who has a couple of hits tonight, and a couple of steals, and a couple of runs scored, waiting on deck. Difference with his team when Reyes is getting on and using his speed, and Day is swinging the bat well. And then throw in some quality starting pitching, and you've got a formula for success. Well, been working Carter inside 2-1.
I think when I watch Takahashi and R.A. Dickey, they have a nice mound presence. They're not afraid. They throw strikes. They pitch quickly. And you really can make some hay here in this ballpark if you do that.
And hard toward the middle, base hit for Carter. Frank Core turns third. He'll score easily. Chris Carter with a pinch hit RBI single, and it's 5-0 New York.
Very nice, Mr. Carter. Gets a fastball. Stands right on top of the plate, strides right in. Boy, he covers the outside corner.
4th run batted in for Carter. That's putting up a picket fence. They've scored in 5 innings. A single run each time. Picket fence, a little gate in the middle.
Yeah, one flat. One flat gone.
Reyes is 2 for 3. Now has 1,001 hits in his career. More importantly, 4 multiple hit games in the last 5 as he starts to get it churning. 2 stolen bases tonight. giving him 11 for the year. What was it you said, Ronnie? When he scores 2 or more runs,
80% of the time, the Mets are Willie in the paper the next day.
And he has scored 2 in this game. You even rediscovered the Jose chant.
We haven't heard that in a while, have we?
Well, last year he only played in 36 games. This year, after sitting out all of spring training in the first 4 games of the regular season, it was really light spring training for Jose the first 6 weeks. But it seems as though all of a sudden his game has kicked into gear. 3-1 coming from Herndon. And Reyes hits one in the air to right field, shallow. And Worth picks it off for the second out. So now Castillo will bat left-handed for the first time tonight. 0 for 2 and a sacrifice. The Mets 5 runs and 9 hits. The Phillies no runs and 7 hits. The Mets and Phillies met the first time this year at Citizens Bank Park. The Mets won the opening game of that series behind a brilliant pitching performance by John Neese. To be shut out by Roy Halladay the next day. The only time the Mets have been shut out all year was when Halladay got him on that Saturday afternoon, and then that Santana meltdown on Sunday night. And the Phillies took 2 out of 3 in that series. But the Mets seem to have caught the Phillies right now in a little bit of a lull and trying to take advantage of that.
Well, they caught the Yankees in a bit of a down period. Injury riddled took advantage. And you turn that into a positive, and all of a sudden you kind of sense that this ball club is kind of turning the corner on it.
Yeah, and this kind of baseball that they've played tonight, Keith, would beat a lot of teams.
Pitching's been good. The offensive execution has been superb. Moving runners, bringing runners home from third. Slapped the other way, but right to Polanco. And he gets the force play at second to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run on Chris Carter's RBI single. After 6, 5-0 New York. The Minute Mets news, insight and opinion on Mets blog presented by Verizon. Featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available on HD on IOTV. If you're not near a TV, you can listen to all Met games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 2 more with the Phillies the next 2 nights, and then 3 in Milwaukee and 3 in San Diego on the upcoming road trip before the Mets return on the 4th of June to take on the Fish over that weekend here at Citi Field.
Well, that could be a revenge series right there. Dropping 4 straight.
Last time we saw Raul Valdez, he was performing in heroic fashion as a long reliever in Washington last Thursday.
What a day that was. He came in after, of course, John Maine and the 5 pitches, went 5 innings for the Mets, gave up 3 runs, but that's one time that the line score did not indicate how outstanding that performance was.
Sorry, Gary, interesting how Valdez's left-handers are hitting .324 against him.
Victorino up for the 4th time, 0 for 2 and 1.
By the way, in this type of game against a team, there's John Maine, against a team like the Phillies who have a lot of power, this is a huge inning. Because Dickey has established now that he's got people out. This is an inning now going from the top of the order. But if anything starts brewing and they peck away and get a couple, right back in this game.
3-0 from Valdez, and he missed inside, so he walks Victorino on 4 pitches, prompting an immediate visit by Ron Barajas. So Valdez pitching for the first time in 5 days. He throws 4 straight out of the strike zone. And that's the last thing you want in a 5-0 game.
You know what's interesting is kind of the collateral damage that happens when you go those 5 innings in a situation he's never done before. Probably didn't do a lot of throwing for a couple days. You know how relief pitchers like to throw every day. And now he's back out there. Maybe his control is not there because he hasn't been throwing on the regular schedule he was throwing before.
Here's K-Rod preparing himself in the bullpen. He had an arduous weekend. He had the 5-out save on Saturday. Came right back and had a classic confrontation in the end on Sunday night against Alex Rodriguez that he won finally by striking out A-Rod with the tying runs on base. And then it came to light that there had been some kind of a confrontation, misunderstanding between K-Rod and bullpen coach Randy Neiman during the course of that Sunday night game. Now, Jerry Manuel said that they shook hands, they resolved it, it's over. K-Rod says nothing ever happened, but whatever it was, it appears to be in the past. 2-1 to Polanco.
You know, the heat of battle, Keith, a lot of stuff happens on the bench, in the bullpens that people say that you'd like to take back sometimes. I mean, it's part of competing. Everyone's at a fever pitch.
More stuff goes down on a team in a bullpen when you shake a stick at.
Polanco drives one to left center field. That one's going to go up the gap and one hop the wall. Victorino racing for third. He's being held up there. And the Phillies have runners at second and third with nobody out. Down by 5 runs. Sam Palazzo slamming on the brakes for Victorino. No sense getting thrown out. And the Phillies now have it set up with their big bats coming up.
Well, fastball, wanted away right down Broadway. Polanco, boy, having a fine year. He came over from Detroit. He had a super year last year with the Tigers.
So Polanco has his second hit of the night. His 11th double of the season. And all of a sudden, a 5-0 lead looking a lot more tenuous with Utley, Howard, and Worth coming up. And the Mets will get Fernando Nieve up in a hurry. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cauley of Glendale, New York. By StubHub. And by Suzuki and the amazing new Kizashi Sports Sedan. So things not going very well for Raul Valdez. Out to the mound for the first time in 5 days. Chad Durbin getting up in the Phillies bullpen. That's at a 5-run lead on Sunday night that got very small very quickly. The Yankees scored 3 runs in the night. And trying to avoid a similar comeback against the Mets bullpen tonight.
Today's game, the 7th inning, is the most critical inning in baseball. Starter's usually out or on his way out. And the pitcher who comes in has got to stem the tide.
So now Valdez faces the left-handed bats of Utley and Howard. Utley's 0 for 3 tonight. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike. What's interesting about the call to Valdez is that once Ryota Igarashi came back on Sunday, Jerry said it was going to be Mejia and Feliciano in the 7th, Igarashi and Feliciano in the 8th. But here it's Valdez called upon, maybe because it was a 5-run lead, I don't know. Swinging a miss and a breaking ball in 2, or maybe because he wanted the lefty in there against the left-handed bats.
Well, I know, Keith, you feel the same way that I feel. You can see the runners in scoring position, not good for the Phillies. The Mets have interested to have some pitchers like Valdez, who gets right-handers out better than lefties, and Igarashi gets left-handers out better than righties. So that matchup doesn't always work.
Two popped up foul. Well, here's what I think. Once you've had a knuckleballer in the game, you got 2 guys who throw 95 miles an hour in that bullpen, Igarashi and Mejia. Yeah. Wouldn't you rather go straight from the knuckleballer to the gas and give the Phillies a completely different look?
I think the left-hander is the appropriate call by Jerry with the left-handed bats. Victorino, Victorino's hitting lefties at almost a 350 clip. You've got Utley and Howard and then Ibanez. You got a guy out there that's done a heck of a job for you. Let him be the bridge to your 8th, to Igarashi in the 8th.
Struck him out with a breaking ball. Well, Valdez bounces back to Fan Utley, who's taken an 0 for 4 with a couple of Ks tonight.
Another slider got him fishing.
Looks like a good pitch to hit, but this slider has a little more break than Valdez has had in the past.
That's a tough strikeout right there. You very seldom see Utley have a bad at bat.
He was out taking a lot of early hitting today, so you know Utley doesn't feel right.
So that's the first down of the inning. Now Ryan Howard is 2 for 3. Hit a shot off R.A. Dickey's left elbow. And is probably still causing that elbow to throb. That was back in the 2nd. Got a base it up the middle of the 3rd and fly down to center of the 5th. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, and Howard takes wide for ball 1. The Phillies have had their chances in this game. As you look at the shift, the Phillies had the bases loaded with nobody out of the 2nd. They didn't score. They loaded the bases in the 3rd and didn't score. They got 2 men on in the 6th and didn't score. Now they've got 2 in scoring position in the 7th. And Howard.
The slider's working for him today, and I got to believe that man right there. If Howard gets a base hit here, Nieve's going to come in to get the right-handed work. I don't think Jerry's going to mess around. I mean, you always can have Feliciano to come in if you have to. I don't know if they can get him up in time for Ibanez.
You also have Oliver Perez out there, who's been brought into these kinds of situations at this point in the game. It's been his role since moving to the bullpen.
And Jerry alluded that against this left-handed lineup of the Phillies, that he thought that Oliver's going to get some time in these games.
And it has not taken him all that long to warm up.
No.
2-1 to Howard. Swing and a miss at the fastball, and it's 2-2. I think that Valdez surprised him.
Staying away.
Hardy.
Well, you can get him upstairs, but it's got to be up neck high to get it by him.
2-2 to Ryan Howard. And slider up and away. 3-2. Jason Worth standing on deck.
What do you like, Keith, here? Slider or fastball up?
Fastball away. Can't walk him. Big ballpark, Ronnie. It's not. We're not playing at Citizens Bank.
3-2. Swing and a foul tip held by Barajas. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Raul Valdez.
Took something off that slider run.
Yeah, and he kept it a little inside and down. Had a better tilt on that one.
I don't think he wanted it inside. I think the off-speed fooled Howard out in front.
So Valdez strikes out Utley and Howard, and that'll leave him in to face Jason Worth. Worth is 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. The Phillies had 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, and now Valdez with a chance to get through the inning. They used the full windup. Ball 1 to Worth.
quite an impressive beard he's got working there.
Goes with his 31 extra base hits. That's a bushel. 2-0. You don't want to be too careful here.
Well, you got to be careful now. 2-0. Work can look middle end, and you try to yank one and make it a 5-3 ball game. Just keep it away.
See his numbers against lefties this year. Lots of hits, no home runs. And on the outside corner, backdoored it 2-1.
Wow, what a pitch.
Raul Ibanez on deck, another left-hand hitter. 32-year-old Cuban rookie, Raul Valdez. 2-1 to Worth. And a changeup blowing away. 3-1.
What's your feeling here, Ron? 5-run lead, and I know you're pitching very carefully. You load the bases. You know, Ibanez is a good hitter. One, you know, all of a sudden a grand slam, it's 5-4.
And there's a strike. Worth is halfway to first.
Well, he's semi-pitching around him. I would never do that personally.
I just wouldn't want one swing to put this team within 1 run.
Exactly.
I'd take my chances. But what do I know?
A lot. Enough.
I'd say you have some cred. Three-two. Hit toward the hole, right with a diving stop. On a hop, Davis picks it outside, retired. The Phillies had second and third and nobody out, and they do not score. Valdez and Wright with the heroics. It's 5-0 New York. Here's your AT&T trivia question. Who's the only player to strike out fewer than 50 times while hitting 50 or more home runs in a season?
Teddy Ballgame?
I don't know. Could it be Ralph Kiner?
Did Teddy hit 50, right? Did he ever hit 50?
I believe that he might have. Are you sure?
I know Aaron never hit 50.
521. I think he did. I think Aaron never did.
Aaron didn't.
But Ted did strike out. Here's Jason Bay leading off in the home seventh. I think it could be Ralph. No. Bay drove in a run with a fifth inning single and stole a base. Facing David Herndon is in for his second inning. Make grounds, one down to Polanco. One away. Time to check in with Gary Apple, see what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thank you so much. Certainly a history-making day in the NFL. The Super Bowl coming to the Meadowlands in 2014. Going to hear from both the Jets and the Giants owners, Darrelle Revis and Justin Tuck. And how much money does Revis want from the Jets? I'll have it all. See you tonight.
Nice suit, Gary.
I think the makers of cold weather gear and those who sell it here in New York just got a big boost. Super Bowl in New York. It's going to be a little chilly.
I'll be in the suite, Gary.
I'm going to go to that game.
You've still got to wait the 3 hours to get through security in the cold before you get to your suite.
I'll be there. We've got friends from security here that work over there. We're going to call in some cards.
Good luck.
I'll do what I always do when I go over there. I take the bus from Port Authority.
Yanked foul, and it's 1-2 to Davis.
Wow. It's not Ted Williams, because Ted Williams only hit 40 home runs once in his career. He had 43 in 1949.
Is that right?
How about that?
I get the 521. Pretty consistent.
And he missed all those years.
Yeah, 5 years in the service.
That's incredible.
1-2 to Davis. Up and in. Mike walked his last time up, otherwise 0 for 2, but he keeps on finding a way on base every day. Either a walk or a base hit, giving his batting average up. He's at 284. Hits one toward the middle, but playing over that way is Castro. 2 out.
Gosh, Willie Mays? No.
He struck out a lot, Willie.
No, yeah, he did.
DiMaggio never hit 50, right? Because he never struck out.
It's not Mantle. He struck out too much. It wasn't George Foster, I don't think.
No, George struck out.
Pujols never got to 50. I think 47, 48 was his high.
Jimmy Fox.
Could be.
Could be Jimmy Fox.
I think it's somebody way back.
Like Ralph.
Because you can't even imagine.
Ralph's way back.
Oh, 40s, 50s.
That's way back.
Back enough.
Am I the only one here to defend Ralph?
He would even admit that he's way back. Not the way back machine, just way back.
Sherman and Peabody.
That's a good question. It's got me stumped.
Well, they had to make them tougher because you were answering them early in the season. They've gone a grade A now.
Did Garrett ever hit 50?
I don't think so. I don't think it was Bonds or Sosa or any of those guys hit 50. Luis Gonzalez. I mean, none of those guys could have struck out through the 50. Brady Anderson. Slow ground ball. Polanco hurries in. And the running toss just in time to get right to retire the side. 1-2-3 inning for David Herndon. 7 in the books. And it's 5-0 New York. The Phillies at Citi Field. Mets-Phillies coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY. And there are your starters for the remainder of the series. Nope, you got to see him for a second anyway. There's our old friend Nelson Figueroa up in the Phillies bullpen. As Raul Ibanez leads off the 8th against Raul Valdez.
I thought we were encouraging speed reading there for a second.
All Eflin would. Takahashi against Blanton tomorrow night. Belfry is just on a great roll right now against Cole Hamels, who has begun to kick it in gear for the Phillies.
Hamels pitched 8 innings, 1 run on Friday night against the Red Sox, and he was outstanding. Throwing, Gary, again back up to 93, 94 miles an hour, and he had his best year in 08.
Good breaking ball by Valdez. Had Ibanez bailing, and it's 2-2. Ibanez 2 for 3 tonight. Single to left, single to right. Carlos Ruiz on deck. The Phillies have 8 hits, but they've left 11 on base, and they've gone 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The Phillies have only been shut out twice this year. They are the 3rd highest scoring team in the National League. Here's your quiz tonight. Who are number 1 and number 2 in scoring in the National League?
Wow.
Don't look for the teams with the best records. Swing and a miss. And Valdez has his 3rd strikeout in relief, the 10th strikeout for Met pitchers tonight.
He's got his slider working tonight.
I'll give you a hint. One of the teams won a game this year 20-0 and lost one 11-0. So they are always involved. One team's a stinker.
They're both not very good.
Dropped it on them.
Here's Carlos Ruiz, who's 1 for 3. Well, the answer is the number 1 scoring team in the league, the Arizona Diamondbacks,
the Stinkers,
who are 5 games under 500, and number 2 in the league, the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 10 games under 500. So that'll tell you how important pitching is.
And yes, Arizona's bottom of the heap with a 5.75 earned run average, and Milwaukee is just 2 above them with a 5.44. That'll do it.
By the way, my quiz just now, not sponsored. Ruiz went around 1 and 2. Ruiz had arguably the biggest at bat of the game for the Phillies in the 2nd inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. And he had a comebacker to R.A. Dickey that turned into a 1-2-3 double play and took the Phillies out of a potential huge inning. Popped up right near the bag at 2nd. And Castillo there for the 2nd out. Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin's got it. New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Chris? Red Sox trying to beat the Rays for the 2nd straight day. Tampa Bay still with the best record in baseball, 32-13, 5.5 ahead of the Yankees. The Red Sox start the day only 2 games behind the Yankees for what would be right now the wild card spot in the American League. So for all of the angst in Boston, they're not very far behind. 1-1 to Juan Castro.
Starting to heat up. Beantown. That'd be a huge win for the both Sox.
And they've done it through the Yankees, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and now Tampa Bay. You know, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the 26th annual New York Police and Fire Widows and Children's Benefit Fund was held here today, always hosted by our own Rusty Staub. Rusty does such a great job, and $150 million they're over what they've raised for the widows and children. Just an amazing foundation that Rusty holds so dear.
Well, Rusty puts in a lot of time, and I've known Rusty for ages, and it's a lot of hard work, and he was right from the get-go just nonstop. Rusty just puts so much time in.
We were at the first one.
Yep.
It was an amazing organization before, but after 9/11, things obviously got exponentially more difficult in terms of supporting all the widows and orphans of all the firefighters and police officers who lost their lives. And Rusty stepped up and did everything that was necessary to, to continue to provide as they had even before 9/11.
Rusty's done some amazing things for this city.
That's why he's dearly beloved.
That's right.
Fernando Nieves still throwing in the bullpen. Remember that Valdez threw 80 pitches in his last outing, so we're very nicely stretched out for this one. He's thrown 40 in an inning and 2/3 tonight. Ben Francisco up to pinch hit for David Herndon for the Phillies.
Yeah. Francisco 2 for 12 as a pinch hitter.
Looks like Nelson Figueroa will be on to face his old mates in the bottom of the 8th. I would hope that Nelson will get a very nice hand here at Citi Field. Pulled foul by Francisco. 0-2. This is inside. Valdez was in immediate trouble when he came into the 7th. A 4-pitch walk to Victorino, a double by Polanco, but then he struck out Utley, struck out Howard. A fine defensive play by David Wright to retire Jason Worth. Another yeoman effort by Valdez, working behind R.A. Dickey for 6 scoreless innings tonight, and is in line for his first win since April of last year. 1-2. Popped it up. Reyes with the call. Side retire. 2 scoreless in relief for Valdez. Figueroa coming off of the Phils in the bottom of the 8th. The big cat, Johnny Mize.
Wow.
The Giants in 1947, 51 homers, 42 strikeouts. The same Johnny Mize, by the way, who when Carl Erskine set the then World Series record for strikeouts in a World Series game in 1953, Mize, playing for the Yankees, was the last strikeout of the 14. But he couldn't strike him out in 1947.
Look at those RBI.
Look at the run score.
Runs.
He probably was a dead pull hitter in the Polo Grounds, huh?
The big cat, one of the more underrated sluggers in big league history.
Nelson Figueroa in the game. This is his second stint. He began his big league career with the Phillies. He's had 6 relief appearances and 1 start this year.
Angel Pagan takes ball 1. Pagan is 1 for 2 and a walk and an infield hit and scored in the second. That's got single runs in the first, second, fourth, fifth, and 6th. Little dribbler, and Figueroa, who feels his position well, throws out Pagan for the first out. By the way, minimal reaction from the Citi Field crowd when Nelson was introduced.
If you're from one of the boroughs, you got to get up and clap, don't you?
No. Nelson did an outstanding job for the Mets over the course of a couple of seasons, and there's every reason to think that he'd be on this ball club this year, but it just didn't work out for him. Ryota Igarashi up in the Mets bullpen. Figueroa just went 19 days without appearing in a game for the Phillies. Ripped into left field, a base hit for Barajas. And Rod has his second hit of the night. A one-out single in the bottom of the 8th. Hit number 10 for New York.
Flat slider, just out of the reach of Polanco.
Well, that's a good shot, isn't it?
See the top spin on that line drive, the humpback line drive.
Some serious hang time for Polanco there in the ultra mode.
Here's Frank Cora's had himself a big night at the plate. RBI single in the 2nd, sacrifice fly in the 4th, double to right and scored a run in the 6th. So he's 2 for 2. And it looks like the Mets intend for Raul Valdez to finish this game. He's come out on deck. So Raul's going to have a chance for the old-fashioned 3-inning save. But I think more importantly, after his 5-inning stint in Washington, to send him out there for a 3rd inning tonight, it would look as though they're trying to stretch him out for a starting assignment.
And it gives them the option of going to him on Saturday if they choose.
Off the plate to Frank Cora, 2-2. And what it does also is it gives everybody in that bullpen 2 days off.
Absolutely.
Yesterday and today, if Valdez can finish tonight. Breaking ball, line to left. It'll stay up for Ibanez. So Frank Cora having himself his best hitting night in a while. Lines out for the 2nd out. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, Jerry Manuel's done a lot of tinkering in this lineup to get it to where it is today. Last 3 nights has obviously worked. And I asked Jerry, what would it take to change this current lineup? He said the return of Carlos Beltran. That's really it right now. I like the way it sits. I like having Ike at 4 there. He splits up Bay and right. Yep. And not just because he's a lefty, but because of his approach, and he has good at-bats against lefties. The other thing Jerry told me he liked Barajas and 7 having a batter behind him, not just a pitcher, because of the way he's produced this year. So it seems this is what Jerry is going to go with, at least for the foreseeable future, guys.
Well, the difficult call for Jerry when Beltran comes back is who sits down, Pagan or Frank Cora?
Well, you cross that bridge when the time comes. You know, Frank Cora could turn it around. You just don't know what's going to happen in 2 months.
Valdez has shown that he can swing the bat. He's a .500 hitter in the big league. And the curveball, looped foul. In the 9th, the Phillies will be setting up the top of the order. Victorino, Polanco, and Utley against Valdez. As the Mets try and polish off the Phillies in Game 1 of this series. Wastes another one away.
Valdez really has an idea up there, doesn't he?
He's got a good swing.
Yeah, he's got a nice short swing.
He's got a chance to get a hit up there. He's not an easy out.
3 for 6 on the season.
The Mets, actually, the pitching staff for the Mets, they can run some hitters up there. Pelfrey's dangerous. Santana's certainly dangerous.
Curveball whacked into right center field. Back goes Worth. He can't get there. Barajas lumbering around 3rd. He'll score. Valdez into 2nd with an RBI double. 6-0 New York. As Valdez continued to show off his hitting chops. His first extra base hit and his first run batted in.
Well, flat slider. And the Phils love to play shallow, and they should against a pitcher and just get burned here.
Love that angle.
Nothing to smile about for Raul Valdez. He's only hit .571. Here's Reyes, who's 2 for 4 today. That's now with 6 runs and 11 hits. That's exactly what they had on Sunday night. 6 runs and 11 hits. Saturday, 5 runs, 12 hits. So after being nearly shut out on Friday night, took him till 2 out of the 9th to get a run. These last 3 games, the Mets have put together quite an attack. And really, it goes back to Thursday in Washington when they put together that 10-run outburst.
Well, there it is, and there's your hanger, folks. And that's a good swing on that ball. Look at that.
IOTV pitch differential. R.A. Dickey sitting pretty with a 6-0 lead now. R.A.'s had treatment on that sore left arm that took the shot from Ryan Howard. And now hoping that he is 3 outs away from a well-earned first win of the year.
And Reyes cracks one to right center field. Worth chasing back. Can't get it. Valdez scores. Reyes to second. Takes the turn. He's on his way to third. Utley's relay throw. Not in time. A triple for Jose Reyes. 7-0 New York.
Well, this is turning into a rout, and this is what the Mets needed to do. Send a message. His first game of the series.
Third triple of the year for Reyes. His 3rd hit of the night.
Fastball right down Broadway, and Jose was cooking from the right side of the plate. This could get him going from the left side.
Well, Reyes, over the last 4 games, has 9 hits.
Well, there it is again, and you can see the difference. Ball bleeding right over the middle of the plate. Jose covering it.
Well, the last 4 hitters have all hit it very hard against Nelson Figueroa. You got Frank Core on a line out in the middle of that. But Barajas and Valdez and Reyes have all hit it hard. 1 and 2 now to Castillo. So not the return to Citi Field that Nelson envisioned, I'm sure. Two and 2 now to Castillo. Jason Bay on deck. The change up sails away. 3 and 2.
Hey, how'd you hit that pitch, by the way?
Looped out of the shallow left. That's going to fall for a hit. Reyes trots in to score as Castillo dumps a base hit. And it's 8-0 New York.
Well, when it rains, it pours.
3 runs scored for Reyes tonight.
Just kind of fits it out there. And
you couldn't throw that ball out better than that, could you?
Nope. Had an RBI in it, too. That's sweet.
So the Mets have broken it open with 3 runs in the 8th. And now Jason Bay is 1 for 4 and has driven in 2 runs tonight. The Mets have scored in 6 different innings tonight. Antonio Bastardo up in the bullpen for the Phillies as Figueroa struggles to put this inning to bed. 1 and 2 to Bay. Grounded down to Polanco behind the bag. Makes the long toss. In time to get Bay to end the inning. But the Mets cash 3 against Nelson Figueroa in the 8th. Raul Valdez with his first career run batted in. Reyes with the triple. And Castillo drives in a run as well. It's 8-0. On the finishing touches of the Mets' first shutout in May. Shane Victorino leads off the 9th inning in an 8-0 game and takes ball 1. Victorino's walked twice, otherwise has flied out and struck out 0 for 2.
This might be the most flawless game the Mets have played this season.
The Phillies have 8 hits and they've drawn 5 walks and haven't scored. So the Mets pitchers have been clutch tonight. Their offense has been opportunistic and has executed well. And they've made the defensive plays they've had to. Behind Dickey and Valdez. 1-2 to Victorino. Popped up, shallow center. Castillo over the shoulder to make the grab. Luis Castillo making like Jerry Rice. 1 out.
Nice play here.
Maybe that foot is feeling better.
Very nice. Two hands. That's right. Right in the palm of that glove. And the cushion there. The right hand comes right in and secures it. Nicely done.
So 1 out in the 9th. And now Placido Polanco, who's 2 for 4 tonight, a single and a double. He had the last hit for the Phils against Valdez in the 7th, and he takes a slider for a strike. Mets trying to get to 500 on the season with a win tonight. 0-2 now to Polanco. R.A. Dickey went the first 6, allowed no runs, 7 hits, walked 3, and matched his career high with 7 strikeouts. His last win came on April the 10th of last year.
Looking for his 23rd Major League win.
When you're age 35, it's precious.
Right.
0-2 to Polanco. Line the other way, base hit. So Polanco has the Phillies' 9th hit of the night, a 1-out single. His 3rd hit. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin and Bobby Oviedo will let us know what's coming up tonight on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live. All right, guys, we'll look forward to that. 2 outs to go here. Chase Utley steps in. He's had a very rough night at the plate. 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. Valdez made him look bad in his last at bat. He starts him off with a breaking ball. 0-1. Ryan Howard on deck. Phillies have left 12 runners on base tonight. Utley pulls one down to first. Davis gets the out at second. Reyes will hang on to it. And now there are 2 down.
Well, hit right in front. No wasted motion. Got a nice glove. Good hands over there around first base.
I really like both plays there. Davis took a little bit of his time, made sure to get the out. Jose did not throw it with the pitcher covering, throw it wild. That was just 1 out at a time when you have an 8-run lead.
So now the Phillies down to their final out of the night with Ryan Howard coming up. Howard is 2 for 4. Singled in his first 2 at bats. Since then has flied out and then struck out against Valdez in the 7th. Valdez's shining moment came in the 7th in a 5-0 game with 2 in scoring position. He struck out Utley and Howard and then got through the inning when Wright made a diving stop on Wirth's ball. The Phillies have had oodles of chances tonight and cashed in none. 0-1. And he checks the swing and takes it high. 1-1. Last 3 innings saved by a Met was Bobby Parnell last year in St. Louis. Valdez on the verge of that. It would be his first major league save. And Howard badly fooled on the breaking ball. And now the Phillies are down to their final strike.
Howard way off the plate.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Raul Valdez finishes it off with 3 scoreless for his first major league save. R.A. Dickey has his first win since April of 2009. The Mets execute flawlessly and subdue the Phillies 8-0 to get back to 500 for the season.
Well, Jerry Manuel and his Mets team starting to feel real good about themselves. Raul Valdez, congratulations on his first save. And not much about the pitching. R.A. Dickey was outstanding tonight. 6 shutout innings. He stranded the bases loaded in the 2nd and 3rd. But it really was the hitters, Keith.
Well, it was a big day for Frank Core, who's been struggling. For Jeff Wentz, hit the ball hard all 4 times and came away 2 for 3 with a 2 RBI and a run scored. It was really a group effort. 13 hits for the Mets, and they did the little things, as Gary said, got the runners over and in, and played errorless ball on the field.
Here's your Delta game summary. R.A. Dickey gets his first win as a Met. Raul Valdez his first major league save, and the Mets scored in 6 different innings to put the Phillies away. 8-0 the final. The Mets' 3rd straight win. We'll come back to Citi Field in just a moment.